months of waiting, and guess what? That wait is finally over. As pace car going to pull to the safety of pit road. Colin Fern has control of the field as Season 5 of Monday Night Racing, presented by Interstate Batteries, is green. We are racing here at Daytona. And as they come around to complete lap number 1 here in Season 5, Colin Fern will be the first driver in Season 5 to lead him. He's got Fern, Rogers, and Story, your top 3 as they work into Turn 1.
And this is going to be the name of the game all evening long, where drivers start to pack in on numbers on the outside, inside, or even the very middle. When you have numbers with you, you are going to succeed. So adding Busa and Sora is helping the charge here to get to Will Rogers.
Here they come down the back straightaway, and that 98 is charging side by side with Busa and Will Rogers. Presley Sora doing everything he can. He's dead even with Colin Fern. He might have the advantage off the corner.
Well, and Fern will go down to side draft, try to pull that top side that is now found Brad Perez and Parker Kligerman, now that 4th car in line. Remember how well of a shover he was at Daytona in the Camping World Truck Series, so perhaps that outside line starting to find the drivers that it needs as they work into one.
And among the drivers up at the front already, Blake and Jacob, are many of the drivers who were very aggressive in the Alpha Graphics duel at Daytona. Alfredo, Fern, Rogers, Perez, Kligerman, all of those guys were very upfront about their strategies in the duels. Same thing right here, still side by side for the lead.
Down the back straightaway, still side by side, as Kenneth mentioned. And you got to wonder, for those that are pushing really aggressively, like Busa and Will Rogers, when could we start to see the engine temps get a little too hot and start pushing water? Still side by side for the lead.
Side by side for the lead, but I'll direct our attention for just a moment back to that second pack. Look who is leading it already up from the 40th starting position. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who looked to have some help, but will find none as Raja Karuth and Malik Ray will go on by. This is about 5 seconds behind your leaders.
And for those guys at the back half of the field, you got to imagine that they are desperately looking for a caution. And I figure that's why that second pack is so far behind. They anticipate that these guys are going to wad them up and create a caution somewhere on the racetrack, but it hasn't happened so far. So the prayers not yet answered for most of the field.
Sexton getting a push from Stephen Ellis down on this inside line, and on the back deck lid for Gary Sexton's car, a tribute to one of his karting buddies, Edwin Brazil, who passed away in the last week or so. Riding on board with Gary Sexton now, trying to win the race for Edwin. Off 4.
Well, Sexton trying to lead that inside line, and of course everybody here at Podium eSports want to send our condolences and well wishes to his family. Racing with a heavy heart tonight, but Sexton tried to do him proud and go for the race lead here on the inside.
And definitely so. Our thoughts are with the family of him and Gary here. We know how good he can be. He's been solid at these super speedways, solid at the dirt tracks where he was dominant last season and won before ending up in a crash on the outside wall. Gary Sexton looking to find some move here on the bottom. Nobody, though, willing to work with him just yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have many friends. He's got Stephen Ellis, he's got Michael Massey down there, as well as Kallenbach. But really, it's just a 5-car, make it a 6-car breakaway at the front from Busa all the way back to the 98 of Presley Sora off the corner.
I'm trying to pick one car off at a time. And no!
It's George Balfons Jr., DJ Cummings is in it, Ryan Vargas is around, Leighton Sabile is around. Here comes the second pack. They are crawling down the front straightaway, Blake, and it was just coming off corner number 4. One car got loose. It was DJ Cummings. Actually, it was Balfons that got the wall. Somebody came down to avoid. I believe it was Max Kennan, got into the rear of DJ Cummings, and it was on from there.
Pace car going to dip in. It's not an uncommon, I guess, feeling from this next-gen car. We've heard that a number of times, that racket pinion steering on this car. A lot better reaction time, and sometimes that could be a bad thing. As we're green once again, they'll go off to turn number 1. Here comes Will Rogers, charged on the outside. He may take a look at the race lead.
And Matt Busa was the one in control of that restart to the green flag, but Will Rogers sort of beat him to the line, and the 55 immediately with a huge shot from the one of Gary Sexton, though Matt Busa will shoot up high. Same deal for Presley Sora, 1-2 Ford Mustangs.
This is pandemonium. Landon Huffman cut somebody off on the outside line and it about caused a huge stack up. And now, oh my, here comes Anthony Alfredo up the middle. Brad Perez just trying to find a place in line. He goes to the outside line. One car downstairs, it's Gary Sexton. He goes to the top.
Anthony Alfredo stuck in the middle, 3 wide as they'll lean on each other's doors. That is Anthony Alfredo and Brian Cook as they nearly came to blows off of turn 4. Alfredo still stuck in the middle. No help for that 23. He'll finally find the high side.
And that was a saving grace there for the 23 to find space, and a lot of it, in fact. But Ron Capps, Brian Boris Cook, the 2 Crypto Autosport Toyota Camrys are going to quickly approach Hollywood, Florida's Brad Perez, who is now in the sucker hole here out of turn 2. Outside lane, completely dominant as of lap 21.
Did we cross lap 20, or do we have 20 to go? Because that's the way these guys are racing. Trouble! Oh, TJ Majors gets turned. Brian Boris Cook hard into the wall and upside down. It's the big one in turn number 3. Ford Martin is in it. One car upside down. Still, it's Brian Boris Cook. David Schildhouse has damage. One car is just stopped on the apron in turn number 3. That is Connor Daly. A huge 6, 7, 8, 9 car pileup in turn number 3 to bring out the second caution.
Pace car going to pull off this time. A couple of drivers who elected to stay out, or actually just one. Count that. It was Connor Daly, the IndyCar Series driver, and somebody who was awfully familiar, the native Hoosier who led the Indianapolis 500 last year, is going to lead the Sunrise 500 to green, but he's not going to get to the stripe first. It is Ryan Vargas utilizing that outside line. He'll have the push from Fern.
It's a Sunrise out of La Mirada, California. Ryan Vargas to the race lead with the Xfinity machine of Colin Fern behind him. How about one driver we haven't really talked about? The 24 of Nick Olson. Second car on the inside. One of the Road to Glory drivers. Help from his fellow competitor, Presley Sora.
Nick Olson trying his best on the inside line with Sora as well. Here they come, headed for turn number 3. Whoa, Colin Fern all the way down to the apron to try and get by Vargas. Here comes Kligerman. That just beats the door down on Ryan Vargas, and Fern and Kligerman go 1 and 2 off 4.
That could have been huge as Fern went to side draft and made contact with Ryan Vargas there for the top spot. That could have been bad at the front of the field. Nevertheless, they'll sort it out. Vargas not very happy with it on the radio. He'll try to get the lead. No help going, though, towards turn 1.
Yeah, he immediately lit up on the voice chat as soon as that move was made and tried to get back to the race lead via help from Gary Sexton, but Sexton decided to go back up top, so that leaves Vargas in a very compromising spot. Daly trying to help in the inside lane all over the place.
Have we learned nothing? These guys are driving crazy right now. We still haven't even gotten to halfway, and they are 3 wide. They are almost 4 wide. Connor Daly was on the apron and he couldn't go anywhere because he had 3 guys stacked up on his outside. Now everybody spreads out. Everybody drops to the bottom. Kligerman leads off 4.
Kligerman will pull them as they look to go 3 wide in the middle of the field. And actually, Race Control just put a message in chat. This race is 41% complete. Don't tell these drivers that. Parker Kligerman in the lead. Now Fern trying to get it back.
Here they come. This inside line is jockeying for position. Raja Karuth is in this, and look who it is. Malik Ray in the 7, that Interstate Batteries machine. He has cracked the top 10 right behind that 41 of Matt Stallnecht. He's on the lead lap.
Matt Stallnecht, who was slow and didn't have a great race car, looks like he's gotten that thing fixed up, and he is in the lead pack duking it out. So a nice recovery there for Matt Stallnecht nearly halfway through this race, trying to get back up into the top 10.
Well, when you have attrition, guys, at these super speedway races, you're going to have these stories. And Matt Stallnecht, who started from the pit, started dead last pretty much in this field. Raja Karuth, who had to face that penalty, started 45th. Malik Ray, who left back deep in the field. All these guys, because of the attrition, are getting back in the game.
Oh, Ryan Vargas got a little bit squirrely. Here comes Malik Ray and Raja Karuth. Fly flying up the middle. Side by side, 3 wide between Anthony Alfredo and Ruben Garcia. Now they're trying to get side by side with Brandon Brown and Ryan Vargas. Matt Stolnick going to join him up the middle in 4.
It looks like Ryan Vargas may venture up there as well, as it is very difficult to get that middle to work, but if 2 can, it's going to be Malik Ray and Raja Karuth. They already break apart. Anthony Alfredo will go down low, no help with him, but trying to make that middle work, it's kind of broken up this lead pack.
Anthony Alfredo dodges down low to try to get some help. Look at the run by Raja Karuth. There's trouble behind. Malik Ray around. Ruben Garcia, Matt Stolnick, Huffman in a scuffle. There's more cars in it to follow. Looks like Charlie Brown, Dakota Curtis. And once again, we have a parking lot on the apron of turns 3 and 4 at Daytona.
And officially we'll complete lap 63. So into the second half of this Sunrise 500, you can see the sun is out and I guess the light's going up. It's turning up the intensity here. Nick Olson clear to the race lead and he'll pull along Adam Cabot, season 4 champion, as Cabot now gets the outside and oh man, almost contact into 1.
That could have been large there as Olson tried to get the block to the 17, the season 4 champion, but that was a very awkward restart on the outside with Kligerman because Karuth barely got into the quarter panel and almost about turned the 75. Fortunately, they kept it straight. It's 2 bow ties at the front of the field, but actually here he comes down low.
He's going to bring Brandon Brown with him. Here comes Cabot. He looks to the inside. He's going to go up the middle. 3 wide for second. Parker Kligerman goes with them. Nick Olson gets turned. He gets into Gary Sexton. They're going to slide and they are going to save it in turn 4. What a save by Gary Sexton.
Absolutely remarkable that they did not junk several race cars here off of turn number 4 that allows the top 8 or so to scoot away.
And Raja Karuth now still leading the group, but the thing I just noticed there is that Malik tried to make something happen, pushed Parker Kligerman to second. If they continue to go side by side like this, this is ultimately going to be the breakdown of this first pack. The second pack guys are already catching up. They've got a good head of steam on the back straightaway. It's only a matter of time now.
They're within a second of the back of the field. They are in the draft. And I tell you what, this lead pack, though, they picked up this 7 machine on Malik Ray. He is up to speed. He is with the lead pack. And these guys just try and go a little suck off the back end of James Bickford there and Ford Martin. Raja Karuth, he drops to the inside, protects the spot from Sabile. Now he looks up to the outside to try and clear Kligerman, and he barely gets there.
Yeah, they almost came to blows there as Kligerman went high. Malik Ray backed off, but it looked like he may try to find a way around that 75. Contact nearly made, but new race leader, Leighton Sabile at the point at Daytona.
And in this top 10, majority of the drivers, almost about half of them have started 30th or worse. It's been that type of race for these guys. Sabile gets stuck in the middle. Raja Karuth giving a push to pre-money. Preston Pardis, it'll check up the outside.
No!
Busa there behind Colin Fern, and they'll go around to the back straightaway. Caution is out.
Into the restart zone is that 75 of Landon Huffman. Good jump for him. Better jump for the outside line, one could argue, as Cabot looks like he'll draw even with Landon Huffman. They'll work to about 150 miles an hour. Huffman trying to hold strong on the bottom.
Native Dakota Curtis in the 45 started 30th in this race, and now the Toyota Camry is up into the top 5. So a miraculous run by this driver right now, up to 3rd there on the outside single file.
Ryan Vargas almost put Brandon Brown into the bleachers on the front straightaway. That got very close. Vargas was 3 wide, trying to fit in line, and he chopped the nose off the 12. Everybody was able to keep it straight. Now here comes Gabe Wood to the inside for the lead. Matt Stolnick up the middle, 3 wide for 3rd. He's going to move Steven Dales all the way in trouble. Cabot in the wall. It's the huge one off turn 4. One car hard into the inside wall. That's TJ Majors. Half the field, maybe more, all piled up coming off corner number 4.
There you go. So a number of fast repairs still left. But up front, it is Gary Sexton, Ryan Vargas now, your top 2. Green flag is out, and quickly, very quickly, Sexton will go to the top side. Busa left all by his lonesome there on the inside line.
Yeah, Sexton did a smart job to understand the inside line on that restart. Wasn't really going to go anywhere in turn 1. And look at this, now 3 wide. Matt Stolnick stuck to the middle with Dale Earnhardt Jr. being the Pied Piper down low. Out of turn 2, could it be enough to get to the 1? We'll find out as they head down the super stretch to turn 3.
Inside 25 laps to go as they come down the back straightaway. The top four breaking away. A little bit of a gap, about a car length and a half, and then there's Anthony Alfredo in that 23 trying to pull this outside line along, but it's all Dale Jr., the Pied Piper, round the outside off turn 4.
He'll lead him off the banking of turn number 4.
Gary Sexton's around on the apron coming off turn number 4. He was down on the apron. He's spinning it out on the apron. He got loose all by himself, and boy, that thing just snapped on him in the middle of the corner. He was at the tail end of that lead pack, spins it down to the apron, gets it back rolling. There is no caution. Trouble for Gary Sexton at the back of the lead pack.
Landon Huffman with help from Matt Stolnick, Robbie Lyons, and Nick Olsen. They're going to try to man a 5-car charge on the very bottom. We'll see if anyone else joins them. Here comes Alfredo down low out of turn 2.
Here they come down the back straightaway. Alfredo leads that bottom line. Ryan Vargas pulls out of line. He's going to go down there and throw a big block on Alfredo. They are 4 wide. Landon Huffman's in the wall. Brandon Brown is around. Robbie Lyons is involved. Nick Olsen is involved. Raja Caruth flies through the grass and is able to avoid it. Everybody else is on the binders and does an incredible job missing the crash that all started with contact from Landon Huffman. They got bottled up. They got 4 wide. It was Brandon Brown and Landon Huffman that kicked off that crash.
13 laps to go here at the World Center of Racing. A little bit of a stack up there on the bottom side, but Vargas will suck right up to the back of that Filter Time Chevrolet, and they are stacked up, forming up really well here as they'll chase Parker Kligerman, who has a nose out front into turn 1.
Time is running out for the guys on the bottom side. Fern finds no help. They're trying to end something in an establishment down low. They just can't do it because it continues to get watered up as guys try different moves. And now it's the outside lane, the guys behind the 75 to make something happen. Caruth still holding hope down low.
How long can the leaders wait to make a move? Will they wait until the last lap on the back straightaway? Will they do it sooner? Will they only do it coming off corner number 4? Raja Caruth is going to keep trying. He leads the bottom side once again. It's all Parker Kligerman, top 5, clear up top.
The hourglass is running empty here at Daytona as they cross the stripe this time. 2 laps to go. When does the move come? It's Parker Kligerman, Anthony Alfredo, George Ball fans, your top 3. Who's going to duck out of line, and when are they going to do it?
They've got it in their back of their minds, though, that if they make a move now, the chances are that something could happen that takes them out of the race. You could make a move at this point on the back straightaway and then immediately get charged by other drivers on the final lap. Caruth now finds a couple of guys to help him. Caruth up to P4.
Here comes Raja Caruth. He's up to 3rd. He is flying with Steve Affan all over the back bumper. He's up to 2nd. Side by side between him and Anthony Alfredo. Now Kligerman, he drops to the bottom. Will he be able to get back up to the top? The outside starts to splinter. It's all Kligerman coming to the white flag.
At Food Country USA, Chevrolet going to have to be wide as they'll approach the white flag this time by. If they get to it, they'll see it through to the end. White flag in the air. One more trip around the Daytona International Speedway. Here comes Raja Caruth. They're 3 wide behind him.
Think about season 3 when Caruth was 4 wide as Stolnick got the win in the season opener. He's going to look to gain some redemption. Fern with Pardis down low on the inside of the double yellow line. Fern wiggles just a bit. Caruth by himself. Kligerman in the lead on the final lap.
Shuffling around, Brad Perez looks to the inside. Now here comes DJ Cummings with help from Matt Stolnick. They're shuffling 3 wide behind. DJ Cummings all by himself. It's all Parker Kligerman coming through turn 3. They're dicing for 5th on back, but Anthony Alfredo doesn't make the move. Here comes Belfons to the bottom of 4.
Kligerman having to block and make that car wide, and it looks like as they work to the stripe, Kligerman gets turned. Alfredo through the grass, and I think Anthony Alfredo by 14/1000ths of a second as they wreck across the line. Anthony Alfredo wins the Sunrise 500 presented by SimSeats in thrilling fashion. He'll cross the line, beating and banging with Parker Kligerman, and he holds on just long enough to get it done, cutting the grass.
Look at the margin. Alfredo catches Kligerman off his game, gets contact, and it looks here like Ball fans could be the one to be clean out front, but Alfredo skirts through the grass, clears the touch by Kligerman, and that right there is the judgment day call. Perez slides up through the fence, and they all come into a shower of sparks. Smoke everywhere, but Alfredo is a winner.
I can't believe what we just saw. I mean, Anthony Alfredo I feel like we've seen this movie before. We're just pulling out, trying to make the move, and then contact to the line. I think Alfredo, I just heard him talk about that he forgot if there was a yellow line rule or not. He went to go down on the bottom and then kind of sort of came back up and there was contact. But race officials have determined indeed it's final. Anthony Alfredo wins this race. So Josh Mendoza makes the call. It is official. Not going to be any dispute about this one. Alfredo with the win, and I mean a huge crash. Brad Perez up into the catch fence after the flag.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Podium eSports coverage of the second race of Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. The TUFCO Flooring Challenge coming to you live tonight from iRacing's virtual Martinsville Speedway in Ridgeway, Virginia. I am Blake McCandless alongside Kenneth Blado and Jacob Hitz, as well as Ryan Bauer, our producer for the evening, and cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Of course, you were just watching the highlights that we had last week in the Sunrise 500, and Kenneth and Jacob, I think the action speaks for itself. We had a long race last Monday night, but I don't think there was any laps that we were really just going through the motions. We were holding our breath the whole time. It was a race full of action, and in the end, Anthony Alfredo ends up taking the checkered flag in race number 1.
And no doubt about it, Blake. I was on the edge of my seat every single lap in turns 1 and 2, and I could probably say the same for Jacob Hitz on the back straightaway at 3 and 4. The excitement was unreal. The racing was crazy. Then we had that insane finish with Anthony Alfredo nosing across the line for his first win in Season 5. Tonight, though, is a very, very different challenge. First time at the paperclip for M&R. Check. We've yet to complete a race, though. We'll do it for the first time tonight with these cars, which we've seen on road courses across the calendar in MNR history prior, but never at this type of track, never in this type of circumstance. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and coming off of the hype of Daytona, it's only going to continue to build at the paperclip tonight.
Certainly so, and Jacob, I'll throw it over to you because I know what Kenneth just said, that we've seen this car a number of times, but this is the first time in series history you think about all the different types of cars that we've raced here in Monday Night Racing throughout the years. This is the first time that we've been at Martinsville. So I think I know what we saw last week at Daytona. We saw a couple of guys getting into it. I can only imagine, or I really can't think of a better track where we're going to see more happen tonight than the paperclip itself.
Well, and like I mentioned when we were talking amongst ourselves in pre-race, it's the first race here at the paperclip, and it very well could be the last, depending on how tonight goes. If it's anything like last week, Kenneth is spot on. Edge of our seats. If we were at a real racetrack, fans would have paid for the seats, but they wouldn't have been using them. They would have been standing up all night long. It was an incredible race last week. I think we're in for something pretty similar here tonight, all things considered. It's something these guys have never done in this series before. Some of them may have experience with this track car combination outside of M&R, but this is the first time we've brought it to the big stage. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the heats and everything else to set the grid for the feature. I'm just so darn excited. I can't wait for this to start.
I think this is going to be pretty great. If you've ever watched champ carts at your local 4/10 mile or a half-mile short track in your area, I think it's going to drive a lot like that. You're going to get big runs. The cars obviously take the corners very well, but again, a lot of action sure to be had tonight. So you can see the drivers rolling on track right now, getting in some practice laps as we're about 20 minutes away from qualifying and the drop of the green flag. But of course, coming from the Sunrise 500, Anthony Alfredo got a huge win to start Season 5 here at the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, as he no longer has to worry. He can approach the rest of the year and know that he is locked into the playoffs here for Season 5. And why don't we talk to the driver of the number 23 who is going to be represented tonight. I know, Anthony, first off, I want to ask you a question about tonight. I saw on social media earlier you were posting and actually inviting designers out there to paint you a race car for tonight. So first off, do you have a car that is all fresh and ready to go for tonight?
Oh yeah, I got a gorgeous Mazda Miata for tonight's race. Shout out to all the designers who entered tonight and were able to get a scheme done in time. And allow me to pick. I will say it was one of the hardest decisions I've had to make in a while because they all looked phenomenal. Got the Pro Accelerate colors on board once again, but a cool opportunity to interact with the fans and designers in the community, of course, and give them all a chance to try to come up with something quickly on short notice and just see which one was my favorite. But I think I'm going to do that more frequently here throughout the season, with our rotating partners and whatnot that are on board our car. Got a lot of great sponsors and proud to be able to have the opportunity to do that with the fans.
Well, and I want to ask you about those partners and about those sponsors. Obviously, being the real-world driver that you are, how cool is it to kind of offer something a little bit extra, and when does Monday Night Racing contribute to that, being able to not only partner with partners that you'll see on your race car on Saturday, but also being to carry it over into Monday night? How does that relationship kind of work out?
It's really awesome. I'm glad you asked about that because I've actually had the opportunity to develop a lot of great relationships with brands and sponsors and different companies from the sim racing and esports industry in general outside of my real life racing profession. So it's been cool to build a brand in that space, but also kind of bridge the gap between the two industries, right? Mainstream esports and the motorsports industry. So we do see a lot of my real life on-track partners on my iRacing cars, but we also have some really neat partners that are strictly through the sim racing community. So very thankful for the opportunity, very thankful for all the support of all my partners. There's no sponsorship too large or too small for that matter. I'm just proud to represent them and obviously have a platform like Twitch to stream and showcases content live, interact with my fans in real time. And then, of course, all social media. But the Monday Night Racing League is really where it's given me the opportunity to do that because of you guys with these phenomenal professional broadcasts and just the competitiveness of the league. So it's always a good time getting them time on the broadcast and competing for race wins and parking those cars in victory lanes like last weekend.
Well, and speaking about tonight, Anthony, I know that win does a whole lot. It lifts a lot of weight off of your shoulders. What's the approach tonight in a race that could get chaotic, running Mazda Miatas here, MX-5s, at Martinsville? With that win in your back pocket, does that change your approach a little bit for tonight?
Oh yeah, I mean, we see all kinds of crazy car and track combos in the Monday Night Racing League, which is why we love it. It's so much fun. It's such a diverse group of drivers from different parts of the industry, and a race like this is really where we see all of that unfold. It's just chaotic. I feel like anyone could win this race just by pure survival. It's almost like a super speedway race, even though it's on a road or on a short track, I should say. So these cars on this track is one of many exciting combos that we get to go to say the least. But to win last week, especially season opener, was awesome in itself. But now heading to car and track combos that are going to be either very technical or just very strange and chaotic like this, it's a relief for sure. I feel like tonight I can just focus on producing some quality stream content, having a good time, enjoying the race, obviously chasing a checkered flag once again, but there's no pressure to necessarily be in a must-win situation or anything like that.
All right, Anthony, well, we'll go ahead and let you go. I know you got about 10 minutes left here that you can kind of get some laps in. Always great to talk to you, and of course, we'll wish you the best of luck. Might be able to make it 2 in a row here to start Season 5. Good luck tonight.
That's the plan. Thank you so much. Hope everyone enjoys.
The driver of the number 23 tonight, again, the paint design on his paint scheme was made up just today, and apparently, according to Anthony, we're going to see more of that. So awesome to see the designers out there getting involved on a short day's notice and able to put something together for Anthony. But as a part of our feature stories, looking at some of the drivers that are out here tonight, if you know sim racing media at all, you recognize this name in Justin Melillo, a longtime sim racing advocate, somebody who is very, very prominent in covering the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series for a number of years. So we dive in a little bit with Justin Melillo and get to know him a little bit better here in this segment.
Well, it's time to get to know Justin Melillo from Traction.gg in the number 53 car in Monday Night Racing. And a lot of people know Justin Melillo. You've been in sim racing for so long, and of course, pretty popular with not just your eNASCAR coverage. You're one of the top photographers out there, but in particular, where did your love for racing come from in the first place? Why did you become a racing fan, and now it has evolved into one of the top photographers on iRacing and, of course, longtime sim racer?
Well, I mean, Devin, it started probably back in the mid 90s. I was just a kid, and my grandfather, he raced Buddy Malillo. He did some drag racing on the island, and he was a big, huge NASCAR fan. The whole family was Dale Earnhardt fans. Everybody in the family was all about Dale Earnhardt. And, I remember I was probably about like 4 or 5 years old, and my pop he brought home a Macintosh computer, and he somehow got his hands on a copy of Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge, and I just played that thing for hours. I got into iRacing in 2009, and I mean, I didn't really play it that much because I was still playing NR 2003 for a while, but now I'm fully on iRacing, and I'm still not fast, but you know, that's how it goes.
So where did the photography come in? Because you are not just one of the best out there, but you're the one who people really like to watch and see what you do. I
picked up a photojournalism class just because it was one of the requirements to graduate for my degree, and I really did enjoy that class a lot. I picked up a Canon camera. I went to Daytona a couple times. I went to Dover a couple times. I went to Talladega a couple of times, and I brought the camera with me, and I would take pictures from the grandstands. So when I started covering eNASCAR on the computer, I wanted to figure out how I could take really nice pictures on there. It's just a lot of trial and error from there, and practicing and getting to know the system.
So where in the world did Traction come from? And kind of take us into what exactly is your job? What do you do there?
Basically, I'm a junior editor for the website part of it, and I not only, like you said, I not only write about eNASCAR, but I also write about racing games in general. I've been writing for the racing experts. Got approved for NASCAR credentials at Dover, Pocono, eventually covered the Daytona 500, covered pretty much all the races on the East End, trying to get my foot in the door, like just trying to constantly just keep writing and keep working, keep grinding, and keep trying to get somewhere in NASCAR. 2018, 2019, and I was like, what if we started covering eSports? What if we started covering the eNASCAR series? It went from there. It still blows my mind every day waking up. I've been working at Traction for almost a year now, full time, and it still blows my mind every day that I get to do this.
What's the plans with interstate batteries? Like, what are you gonna do for some product activation to beat what you did last season?
I don't know if I could beat last season, honestly. Unfortunately, I can't drink a battery. I can't eat a battery. I did order some interstate batteries. They're going to be behind me, but I'll be putting it in my mouse. I'll be putting it in my keyboard. Unfortunately, the best I can do, unless I win a race, and then I'm going to lick a battery. I already called that. I'm going to, just for the memes. It's something I got to do if I win a race.
Oh, we certainly appreciate getting to know our very own E-Bop-Pocris of the sim racing scene. Of course, thanks a lot to Devin Henry for getting to know the 53 driver here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. We'll bring in the Traction GG junior editor, Justin. Obviously, that last part of the segment was amazing. You wore a pack of batteries just 1 week ago at the Sunrise 500. We called you the Rowdy Man last season. I guess we can call you the Battery Man this time around. But this time, Season 5, it's a brand new, fresh start. How you been feeling so far?
I'm all charged up about it. I got my batteries here. They're not around my neck this week, unfortunately. Having a little bit of neck pain, but yeah, it's been really fun. Cool start to the season last week with the Sunrise race, and now we're in Mazda Miatas doing Martinsville, so it's just another crazy, combination here at Monday Night Racing.
It certainly is, and I figured this would be an all-star combo, but for it to be a regular season one, certainly insane. And on your behalf, of course, you've been a part of these crazy combos, and in many cases, you've competed for the winner. I can remember Indy cars at Talladega, how crazy that is. You were there for the win as well in the all-star race in Season 4. What are you thinking about this type of combo, how it is with these cars that are much slower than the cars that usually run at this track, and a whole bunch of drivers wanting to take this win in this type of format?
It's not one of your conventional combos here tonight, and I remember doing it for the first time last year in the Moon Car 24. It was a really fun time doing that with my friends and my teammates over at Speed Inc. We ran that race for 24 hours and managed to come in 4th overall, which was really cool. So I was the slowest on the team, unfortunately, so I got to live with that tonight. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be crazy out there, just because it's the fear of the unknown of everything that's going to be happening.
And of course, this being sort of the first steps to what's going to be the playoffs later on when we start in the middle of July. And you've been a part of these playoff series before. You've been close. You've captured the playoff berths. How is it going to be to try and edge your way into the MNR playoffs and make yourself a contender for the championship come late August?
Well, I didn't give myself any favors last week by getting a 25th place finish at Daytona. That's, it's unfortunate. I just the luck didn't fall my way. That could definitely happen tonight, or it could fall my way. We don't know. You never know in these races. That's the cool thing about it, is that even if you're one of the fastest guys out there, even some of us slower guys might surprise you and get a good finish out of it.
I love the versatility, because you get to race in this series that has so many crazy combos, and you spend a lot of time covering eNASCAR, some of the highest pressure, most intense professional e-racing series, and then you get to come here, have a little bit of fun. But nonetheless, Justin, of course, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here in the broadcast booth, and we wish you the best of luck. We take these MX-5 to Martinsville. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing you out on track.
Thanks. I hope to have a lot of fun here tonight. Thanks, guys. Have a good broadcast.
Justin Melillo in the 53 looking for some glory here tonight at the paperclip. Got, obviously, Blake, one of the most colorful paint schemes we see on the grid with Traction.gg. So he's in high hopes. We're in high hopes, too. We're ready to go.
No doubt about it. That pink and green really pops on that traction machine. At whatever car and whatever track we go to, you can certainly be, your eyes will be drawn to that number 53 in whatever we deem to run. Well, that'll at least wrap it up here for pre-race ceremonies. Next up, it is the running of the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. MX-5s at Martinsville coming to you next in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Mas. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Martinsville Speedway for live coverage of the TUFCO Flooring Challenge for Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Blado, and Jacob Hitz on the call for you here tonight as we are just a couple of moments away from being ready to go here from Martinsville. And, well, guys, as the drivers get their last couple of laps of practice in and even get a little bit of qualifying in, I think we're gonna go around the booth and hear our picks for tonight. We've heard from a couple of drivers. We talked to Anthony Alfredo. We heard from Justin Melillo just a couple moments ago. But we're gonna go around the booth here, and Jacob, we'll start with you. MX-5s at Martinsville. Who you got coming out on top tonight?
I know Justin Melillo said he's all charged up for tonight, and this race is appropriately named the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. It's going to be challenging for those drivers on the racetrack, except for one guy. I've got David Schildhouse winning this thing tonight. He's been fast. He's been consistent. He's been racing out there with a couple of guys that have been fastest on the board. Gabe Wood, Adam Cabot, Bailey Turner. They have been all over the place. The racing's been fantastic so far in practice. I'm taking Schildhouse tonight.
All right, so Jacob Hitt's going to go with the long shot and pick the Championship 4 favorite from last season, and David Schildhouse got the win early on in Daytona, but apparently, according to Jacob, going to get it done tonight here at Martinsville and lock himself into the playoffs. Kenneth, I'll turn to you. Who you got coming out here with the victory tonight?
Well, first off, I'm going to send my apologies because usually my picks never, ever go correct. But I'm going to go with Gabe Wood in the 50 for JD Motor Esports. Gabe Wood, he's been surprisingly quick at many of these tracks and in many different combos. You think back to his win at Michigan with the 87 car as a car and a track combo that can really take a lot out of you, can challenge you as a driver behind the wheel. He won the Porsche 911 at Homestead Miami Roval race. So maybe this is the missing piece, a short track win with these cars. I feel like Gabe Wood could arise out of nowhere and take a win tonight.
All right, Gabe Wood set to steal one here tonight at Martinsville, according to Kenneth Bueno. And, well, now it's time for my pick, and I'm going to go off a little bit of first-hand experience. Believe it or not, we've run in this race for a very long time, and I got to drive it against this driver, and he was the best driver in that race, and I think he's going to carry that over to tonight and be the best in the field. I'm going to go with the 075 of Landon Huffman tonight. I mean, I can't think of anybody better to get around a short track quickly. Finished second in the second leg of his twins at Hickory Motor Speedway this past weekend in a brand new race car and a late model, trying to get his original late model fixed up. So I got Landon Huffman tonight. Short track racer and somebody that when we ran this combo against each other, he was the best driver, at least out of everybody that was in the field tonight. So I'm going to go with the driver of the 075. So Landon Huffman with me. We got Jacob Hitz holding down the fort with his pick, and David Schildhouse, and of course Kenneth Bueno with Gabe Wood. And guys, again, that's our picks. It's probably the kiss of death. Rather than a win, it's more than likely actually not going to happen. Somebody else will end up stealing it tonight.
You know what? I'm not going to blame anybody for having themselves picked, whether it's Schildhouse, Wood, or Huffman, to be like, dang it, why did they pick me out of all people? Because we've been good at the commentators' jinx, more recent than not. But, I mean, I think all the three guys that we've chosen, they've got a lot of strength beneath them. And Schildhouse has won at short tracks. Huffman is very good in real life at short tracks. Gabe Wood, very good at these crazy combos. And this is a crazy combo, no doubt. Tonight, guys, it's going to be unbelievable. We've got the heats, we've got the feature, many laps to go in with these cars. It's going to be so much fun.
Well, it is going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of that format, we'll have Jacob Hitz roll it along with us tonight. What are we going to be going through tonight here, Jacob, as we race in Martinsville?
Pretty simple, all things considered. 15-lap heats. We're doing qualifying right now. These drivers will do 4 laps of qualifying here at Martinsville. It doesn't take very long. That's why we're going to get away with doing 4 laps. From there, that'll distribute everybody. And how we're going to do this, we're going to do 2 heats. 15 laps each. The top 12 drivers move on. Everybody else falls into the LCQ. That LCQ then, 15 more laps with everybody that's left. The top 6 will advance to the big show to give us a field of 30 to race for 65 laps. And I know the fuel load there says 80%. Not so fast. These fuel tanks full all the way. Pit stops really won't be a factor unless you need to use that fast repair, Blake.
Yeah, certainly so. Again, you're not going to want to come down pit road, and even the tire fall off going to be very insignificant here tonight. So you're really only going to see drivers give up that track position and go down pit road if something were to go amiss, which this car is equipped with a new damage model from iRacing. So, of course, that could happen. Kenneth Bueno, go ahead and show us Ridgeway, Virginia's own Martinsville Speedway.
We get down and dirty into one of the oldest tracks on the NASCAR calendar, Martinsville Speedway, a track with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. It's a half mile, 0.526, 0.847 kilometers on that side of the table. It's a very slow pit road speed limit, only 35 miles an hour, and you've only got 12 degrees in the banking in turns 1 through 4. No degrees whatsoever on the front straightaway or the back straightaway. It's a very challenging course, albeit it looks very simple from our first glance. We're not going to be going that fast to go heavy on the braking zones here with these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars, but still, it's a very short oval. You've got close quarter racing. It is almost inevitable to make some sort of contact, and that's the magic of a short track like this.
It really is, and as much as I loved being out here with eNASCAR just a couple of weeks ago when the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series was out here, loved being out at the eNASCAR trailer, loved mingling with all the race fans, but I hope the race tonight goes a little bit cleaner than how a lot of those race fans drove on the simulator on the trailer, because I tell you what, it was a struggle, but this is a tough track to get around, certainly so. Well, we are just a couple of moments away from qualifying ending. As we take a look at our weather for tonight, you could see in the sim a 6 p.m. start. So that sun starting to set just like it would at Martinsville off of turn number 4 before it will eventually go down. You could see the air temperature only 75 degrees, which leads to a relatively cool track. So these MX-5s that are well equipped to get around corners at a high rate of speed going to be able to do just that at Martinsville tonight. 78-degree track temperature, a little bit of wind, and not too much humidity. So at least a nice little night here at Martinsville, unlike kind of what we saw in real life. It was pretty chilly there. We have 37 cars that have taken a lap in qualifying, and in 5 seconds the timer is going to run out, and it looks like SVG, driver of the 97, Shane Van Gisbergen, will have the top time, the only driver to dip into the 22.2 second bracket, 22.90, and there you have it. SVG made a couple of starts here in M&R, and he has made his presence felt in those starts, and yet again tonight you can see he brings home what is now his second pole in Monday Night Racing competition. Well, the drivers are starting to head to the grid for heat number 1, our first of 15 lap starters, and the lineup for it will look like this. It'll be Shane Van Gisbergen, as we just mentioned, who will start at the inside of road number 1. Preston Pardis, he knows how to wheel a Miata, so no shocker to see him starting up here in the second position in the number 42 machine. Gary Sexton will start in third, Gabe Wood in fourth, Anthony Alfredo, last week's winner, will start in the fifth position, Robbie Lyons in sixth, DJ Cummings in seventh, Bailey Turner, number 5 car, rolls off from 8th tonight. Ruben Garcia in 9th. And Colin Fern, you have to race up a little bit. He starts in 10th tonight, Kenneth.
And it'll be Hollywood, Florida's Brad Perez in the 60, who will start 11th. It's Jacob Hitz's pick, David Schildhaus in the 20. He'll start 12th. Seth Eggert in the 57 will be 13th, followed by Brandon Brown in P14. Justin Lillo racks up the top 15 in heat number 1. Garrett Smithley is 16th. Matt Stonick will be 17th, with Mark Rubilis to his outside in row number 9. And the final driver in this heat is the 27 of Michael Massey.
So 19 drivers set to do battle here for 15 laps in this opening heat. Again, top 12 will advance, so the back 7 drivers will have to try to get in through the consolation that'll come up just a little bit later. But Jacob, I'm looking at these qualifying times, and it is Martinsville. It is a combo that I think is going to keep, or I thought would keep times closer together, but 22.90 or 22.290, I should say, for the 97 of SVG. And even some top contenders, Colin Fern about 3/10 off of that pace, Anthony Alfredo about 2/10 off, so a wide spread in qualifying. Not sure I was expecting to see that.
A wide spread, but you also have to keep in mind that the tires are going to fall off after a certain amount of time. Maybe not necessarily in the heats as much, but certainly once we get into the big show and the 65-lap feature, you're going to see the tires start to wear a little bit, and those in the back, if they're able to save their stuff, they may have a little bit better tires compared to those at the front that are really, really pushing hard. Like I said, I don't think we'll see that really have an impact in the heats, but you never know. We'll find out here.
We will certainly find out as the pace car looks like it is going to dive to the safety of pit lane. A rather large restart zone here as we are ready to get round number 2 underway. The TUFCO Flooring Challenge as we'll start heat number 1. The cars will exit turn 4. They'll stack it up 2 wide. Coming to Barney the flag man. A late jump there for the 97, but we are green flag racing here at Martinsville, the MX-5s. And it looks like your top 2 going to do a little bit of bump drafting to get ahead. Pardis thought about going for the race lead in 1 and 2, but Kenneth didn't quite have enough to get him yet. There's a spinner in the back.
Yeah, one indeed around. It's a 33, and up and over goes Ruben Garcia. Got a couple more involved in that. Looks like Seth Eggert and Mark Rabillas, the 57-99, get tagged in, and caution flag will wave for the first time in Heat 1, and deservedly so, because that car is not going to flip itself back over.
Well, I knew that this is how Martinsville would look, Jacob, but I didn't think on wreck number 1 of the night we would already turn on the flip counter. I didn't think we would get it started quite this early, but yet here we are.
Yeah, that's a unique one. Going into 1, I think Ruben Garcia maybe got a little bit loose. He definitely got loose after Brad Perez got in the rear end of him and turned him around. Nowhere for Seth Eggert to go, just wrong place, wrong time. And Mark Rabillas, he thought he had this thing cleared. He had all the room on the world on the inside of the racetrack till that 57 came down and he made some hard contact, and up and over goes Ruben Garcia, the minion on the hood of that 33. Yeah, well, he went for quite a ride here at Martinsville early on.
Well, he certainly did, and unfortunately for him, that tow is going to cost him a lot of time getting it towed back to pit lane. So going to be very difficult for him. He'll have to wait this thing out and try to get back on the lead lap here in what's going to be a short, very short race. Again, only 15 laps. Caution flag laps are going to count tonight. So that is also a thing of note that will carry forward from the heats and all the way to the main feature tonight, that we will be scoring caution flag laps tonight. So hoping that we can have a good race that has a lot of hard green flag racing in it. Update from race control, the cause of that caution is going to be put on Brad Perez. So the driver in the number 60 will be put at the tail end of the field, and we'll have to again try to rebound and get into that top 12 that will advance into our 65 lap feature tonight. So 1 caution already in the books. Pace car's going to pull off. Again, it will still be that 97 and 42 who are awfully close battling for the race lead. SVG going to waste no time as he gets right after an early restart that kind of is not expected from the back of the field. You can see a wide spread there. Green flag out once again, but pretty good racing going on right now for that second spot between Preston Pardis and Gary Sexton.
And SVG learned that lesson from the opening jump. Went a little bit later, Preston Pardis had the jump on him, but this time caught the whole field off guard. And now it allows Gary Sexton to dive underneath, going to clip the curb just a bit. But as long as they stay side by side, Blake, it's only going to help SVG to grow his lead. Alfredo tried to peek a little bit in turn 1. Couldn't quite do it. Everybody mostly single file. That battle for the 12th spot is looming around. Garrett Smithley, the last driver, holding it through.
Smithley holding on to it as they are getting after it here for that second spot. Pardis able to maintain there on the outside, doing a great job of it. Going to be able to hold off the charging Gary Sexton behind him. Now Alfredo able to slot on through, is way up the racetrack right there goes Sexton. He may lose another spot here.
SVG really must be enjoying that view he has in the rearview mirror. He's got over 0.8 of a second between himself and P Money there in second. Preston Pardis. That battle still going on for now. P number 4, Gary Sexton, all over the back door of Gabe Wood. He just can't get by him. I don't think he wants to move him out of the way quite yet. Here comes Bailey Turner to the inside of DJ Cummings.
And this is what you're going to see a lot of, Kenneth, that these drivers are able to get a really good exit off the corner, but yet just don't have the horsepower that you would typically see at Martinsville, so it makes these straightaways very long, and you're going to see a lot of peaking, a lot of blocking, and we're kind of seeing that right there around that Bailey Turner machine running in P7, trying to find a way around DJ Cummings.
it's just a mix, Blake, of the physicality of this Martinsville track and short track racing in nature, and then there's also the mental game where you're peaking out, you're peaking low, you're trying to force your opponent into a mistake. We're kind of seeing that a lot of drivers pushing in blocks, a lot of guys trying to force others into compromising spots so that they don't give up position. It's just a great thing we're going to be seeing, especially in that 65-lap feature when we go for a long marathon. Here's a look from Bailey Turner right behind DJ Cummings. Gary Sexton about to open the door, and that inside lane is starting to freight train through the Battle Beaver MX-5. You really wouldn't want to be in the outside if you're anybody with these cars at this track. Fortunately, though, Sexton is able to hold on to position just a little bit. Here comes Schildhaus down low.
Well, and Sexton has fallen back in a number of positions since the drop of the green flag. He's been stuck on that outside, but also, Jacob, I don't think he's really pushing the issue. At least for now, you're still in a transfer spot, and I don't think we've seen Gary really willing to go down to throw blocks to try to get down on the inside. I think he knows that this is a marathon here tonight. It's just about kind of getting into that feature.
Getting into the feature, and also this is the time to learn for the big show what you can get away with, what you can't. Meanwhile, back at this transfer spot, here comes Brandon Brown. He kicked the door down going into turn number 3. Stallneck overdrove the corner. He's up the hill. Brandon Brown on the inside with 2 to go. This is for the transfer spot. Who gets in? Who's moving to the LCQ as they come off 2?
Best battle on the racetrack going on right now. There's a little bit of shuffling in front of them, but all eyes are on this 12th spot. Who's going to be the last one in? Stallneck defending up top. Brandon Brown down low. Can't forget about Brad Perez, who's made his way forward. White flag. One more lap to try to do it.
SVG will be in contention for the win in this heat, but of course, all of these guys, maybe make it 4 cars here, going into 3 and 4 for the final time. Brandon Brown's going to tuck in front of Brad Perez, and who will get P12? Stallneck in a block.
Stallneck in a block. Taylor and Brown bounces off the apron, not going to be able to get there, so Stallneck will hold on for the 12th and final transfer spot. A great race between Brad Perez and Brandon Brown as they'll crash him up into turns 1. Again, it was Shane Van Gisbergen who led every single lap of that feature. He gets it done. Pardis, Alfredo, Wood, Turner, your top 5. Schildhaus, Sexton, Cummings, Lyons will also advance. Smithley, Malillo, and Stallneck, your final 3 drivers. And a shout out to Garrett Smithley, who drove from the back, 16th starting spot to race his way up into the top 10. Didn't get the qualifying time he wanted. He's for sure some driver that we will have to watch later on tonight. But quick move in here in iRacing with this heat format. This is heat number 2, as Will Rogers will start on the inside of road number 1. He gets pole for heat number 2. Presley Sora will roll off in the 2nd position. James Bickford in 3rd. Adam Cabot 4th. Landon Huffman will start in 5th. My pick 6th. They'll go to Mike Clay. Rajah Caruth, he'll start in 7th position. Max Kinnon 8th. Nick Olson 9th. And George Belfans Jr. will round out your top 10.
Steve,
so far...
Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, I was just going to say, so far, Blake, you are the last one that could potentially soil the clean sweep. So far, Gabe Wood is in, David Schildhaus is in. It's all down to your pick, Blake. Any pressure?
I guess so. We got to try to get it in somehow, but I got confidence in Huffman. I think he can get it done. He got a couple of hungry drivers behind him, though, particularly Rajah Caruth and Nick Olson. I think they're looking to move forward and won't be content to just ride around and get into the feature. So it'd be interesting to see that. Afont Cook starts in 12th, Charlie Brown 13th, Devin Henry in 14th, Ford Martin 15th, Stephen Ellis 16th, Chris Wilner will start in 17th, and Case Collenbach will make up 18 drivers in this one, 19 in heat number 1. It'll be 18 drivers who take the green flag here in heat number 2, and same rules apply. 15 laps, top 12 will advance. We will also count caution laps in this heat. So Will Rogers going to bring him around to turns 3 and 4. Lights are off on the pace cards. Duck to the safety of pit lane. Rogers and Soares, they'll wait all the way for the green flag to get started. Rogers and Sora side by side. The entire field side by side as they'll work to turn 1.
Easy jump by both of the drivers, 1st and 2nd. Sora, though, going to get trapped up top. And here comes James Bickford for Charlotte Phoenix all the way down low. Maybe he can take 2nd. And this is just going to be the opening jitters here, Blake, trying to make sure you can gather your rhythm. And regardless of where you are in this field, because even if you are behind the top 12, you've got a shot to make it in. but certainly here, everybody just trying to get their warm-ups in content right now as Presley Sora holds in the outside for the lead.
Sora doing a great job on that outside lane. He has not let Will Rogers just go into it as they go side by side and stay side by side for the lead. Further on back, Adam Cabot not having quite as much luck there on the high side.
Brian Boris Cook into the wall, front straightaway, caution's out. He got turned, one car, I think it was Steve Affont, got loose off the corner and just clipped the right rear of Brian Boris Cook and hooked him into the wall. I saw Chris Wilner on the opening lap in turn 3. He got sideways. Here's the replay. Oh, I see. Brian Boris Cook gave the chrome horn to Affont, and Affont got sideways and kind of sort of returned the favor coming off the corner.
I'd say that is tempers boiling over already here at Martinsville. No shockers there, as you can see a big slider right there, if you want to call it that, and obviously took exception to that. So Cook goes around. Chris Wilner had a little bit of contact there on the opening lap there in the back of the pack. It was just a little bit of contact there with Case Collenbach, an innocent spin. Not going to be too much damage to the 26. And even under caution, Wilner kind of showing his displeasure as much as you can in sim racing. You don't exactly have a hand signal to go out the window, but you can pull up right behind them and let them know that you're not very happy. And it seems like that's what the Wilner did under that yellow flag to Case Collenbach.
That's a preview, probably, of what we're going to see in the main feature when these guys get dirty for the win, because that's certainly going to happen. We're going to see bumpers being served all over here, just like they do the hot dogs here at Martinsville Speedway. But I mean, a rather harmless spin. Obviously, Brian Boris Cook is going to be able to continue without much fault, although he's already one lap down. So maybe there is a big problem there for Cook, and he may have to worry more about this LCQ later on, because again, I mean, 15 laps. You look at the telemetry, and it's probably about 5.5 minutes if you go green all the way. So it's so short that it's so hard to bring any sort of guys back from 1 lap down or more. Hopefully, Cook can get a wave around before this is all said and done. We only had that one caution in Heat 1, and we may stay on the same trend, guys, for this second heat.
And I think, you know, we talked about it before we went on the air, about pitting under caution, even under green. If you leave the fuel checked, it takes forever to fuel these cars.
Yes.
I think that's what happened to Brian Boris Cook. He was in the box for 27.5 seconds. He used his fast repair. What was the rest of the time? I think he changed tires, changed fuel. That's why he's a lap down, guys.
And again, you don't exactly want fuel in a car like this. The fuel that is already in there, plenty to get to the end. You do not want any added weight in these MX-5s. As Will Rogers will get us started once again. He'll shoot out to the lead in his Space Station gaming machine. But boys, he's going to have a battle on his hands right now. It's all up to James Bickford if he wants to take that run. Not going to do so. Landon Huffman, though, behind. Look to try and take a peek there for third.
Turn 3.
Is sideways, but he might get saved.
We got one upside down. Charlie Brown just got a piggyback ride here in turn number 3 with help from Devin Henry. I have never seen that before, ever. Charlie Brown sent it into turn number 3 way too deep and got into Devin Henry. We'll see the replay. And then Charlie Brown wound up on top of Devin Henry, and Devin basically drove him halfway through turn number 3. Here's the replay. Up onto the hood he goes. It just, come with me. And up and over, eventually goes Charlie Brown. A wild tumble. That's 2 now that we've seen on their top so far. We're just in the heats.
I tell you what, he drove it down in there on the apron. He thought he was down there for sure, but my goodness, what a wild ride for Charlie Brown. At least he landed on all fours, though. May not have to take that tow back to pit road. He might be missing a mirror and I don't know what else, but a wild ride for Charlie Brown there back in the pack.
That's the scene from Cars right there, if you guys can remember that. Right up the hood and riding on top of it. Man, that's the first I've seen, guys, at Martinsville Speedway as Charlie Brown went up and over. But it was just a big stack up down there, too. I mean, that's something we're going to see here at this Martinsville Speedway. When one guy goes around in the middle of the corner, if somebody makes a failed set or if something else goes awry, everyone's going to start to stack just very, very quickly, and they're going to sandwich and pile onto each other. That's what happened there. It looked like Charlie Brown was going to be rather harmless, and that was the extra tap by Steven Ellis because they were all trying to slow down. It sent him on top of Devin Henry. I probably want to know what Devin Henry feels about that, because that is not a pretty sight seeing the drive line of an MX-5 on top of you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And actually, you know what? I agree with Michael Massey, who just put over the game chat. Devin just invented a new style of tandem. I think we have been introduced to new methods here at Martinsville, and yet we're only in the second heat. We have a lot longer to go. Green flag back in the air as Will Rogers, who was your race leader, falls back. It looks like that 55 a little bit loose. Here comes Landon Huffman up the bottom, 3 wide as they work into turn number 3. Huffman going to try to make that move right along the curb, and 3 wide at Martinsville. Well, it looks like it can work for a little bit. Here's Bickford.
James Bickford around into the inside safer barrier, and yep, that's very sketchy, guys. 3 wide at Martinsville, and it was almost going to work, but it was just a slight contact that Rogers gave Bickford there on the exit of turn 4 to the front straightaway. What a restart, though, by Presley Sora. I've never seen anyone really take that middle lane with a lot of aggression and be very successful making passes, and as Sora was pulling away, there's the slight contact right about there as the 55 of Rogers got into the 29 at Bickford. Raja Karuth is barely able to escape the hole in the wall and smacks the inside wall just a bit. It's not going to affect his car too much, but for Bickford, that is a myriad of lost track position, and that may be good enough to send him to the LCQ tonight.
Remember how I said at Daytona when we did the duels that there's always a duel that's wild? Apparently this applies to heat races too, because the first one was pretty tame, all things considered. This second one, the drivers have the elbows out, they're beating, they're banging, they're just dive bombing it in the corners. Oh, by the way, we do have overtime in these heats. We have 3 attempts at a green-white checker. First one, we're using it right here.
We are going to be using it, so this could go on a little bit longer. Of course, if we get to the white flag, we'll see it through to the end, just like we did last week at Daytona, if you were watching along here. So we do get 3 attempts in this heat as well, so could take a little bit here, and hopefully for Bickford is an opportunity for him to get back up. I will say, after that wreck, I am shocked that there were not more cars wrapped up in that one and involved. Getting spun from way up front, as you see Devin Henry there. A little bit of a smile right now for Devin Henry, but he has to get one spot better, and I think he'll be smiling a little bit more, Kenneth.
Yeah, I think those scratches on the chair right behind him is probably from Charlie Brown's MX-5 from just a little bit ago. But seriously, Devin Henry is going to have a little bit of work cut out for him. There's a lot of drivers behind him that may be aggressive to take it all away from him. And these guys are packed in for only 2 laps on a dash if we can get all the way to the finish. So we'll just have to see. Devin Henry going to have to play some Hall of Fame defense.
He certainly is. And by the way, up front, Landon Huffman up to second. Green flag in the air, an early jump for Presley Sora. They're 2 wide. They're looking 3 wide. They're even 4 wide further back in the pack, and that is not going to work.
Steve Afon's up on the wall. Mike Clay is around. Brian Boris Cook just drove in there and slammed into somebody. Charlie Brown is around. We had 4 wrecks, I think, going into turn number 1 there, Blake. I mean, everybody. Steve Afon's upside down, so that's 3 on the upside down counter here. Contact between Steve, okay, let's see. That's Charlie Brown and the 84 of Case Collenbach. That was the first contact. Brian Boris Cook, James Bickford all piled in, and then I think Mike Clay just lost it all by himself up the road, or did he get some help maybe from the 24 of Nick Olson? Yeah, he did get a little hit check from the 24 as well. So only 3 different wrecks, and we'll try it again.
We certainly will. You can see them all piling in there. Again, this is all back, and this is in position in that transfer. Stephen Ellis, at least at the start-finish line there, that number 46, he was the transfer. So this wreck pretty much involved everybody who was behind it. You can see Bickford, who was involved in that caution, trying to get forward, I'm sure as quickly as possible, and made in a very aggressive move there on the inside of Cook to try and make the corner. He hits Cook. Cook hits Wilner and a couple of others, and pretty much everybody who was behind that battle to get in. That's what happens, as it looks like, as we're getting the word from race control, it is going to be both the 29 and the 26 who are going to be tabbed with causing that one. So Chris Wilner and James Bickford going to be put at the tail end of the field for causing that caution.
That's going to be tough for them, and that's another hit to James Bickford too, after getting involved in that slight spin on the front straightaway and was just trying to get back into it in the final 2-lap dash, and then all of a sudden he's going to get an EOL here to put him at the rear of the longest line on the lead lap. So that's going to suck for Bickford here, who may have to look forward to the LCQ unless he can make a miraculous jump all the way to P12 here by the time we go green flag racing once again. But I got to tout the strength of Presley Sora. I mean, running that middle lane, and really ever since he got the lead has never been able to look back and have any worries about drivers behind him. He's done a massive job on the restarts, and somewhat, just a little bit similar to SVG's performance in Heat 1, but this time making a great pass on that outside. So Sora already looking to start off this season in the right way after having a very interesting Sunrise 500 just 1 week ago.
And certainly did, and again, interested to see if he can hold that off. If he holds on and gets this win in this heat, he will be starting up front in our feature tonight, so will be interesting to see if he's able to hold and run that middle line, much like he did to get the lead and hold it in this one so far. So green-white checkered attempt number 1 is behind us. We'll look forward to attempt number 2 as the lights will go off on the pace car this time by. You can see the sun continuing to go down, cooling off this racetrack. Since we started, it's already cooled down about 2 degrees, at least on track, down to 77 degrees right now. Imagine that will continue to fall as eventually, I believe we'll get to total darkness here, won't we?
I think they just wrecked under caution, or tried to. We had the caution extended, and I think we had contact in turn 3. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we did. We had crashed on the back straightaway. Chris Wilner got turned around by Charlie Brown. Well, he just turned across Charlie Brown's nose. But that was a good lap and a half ago that he did that, so we're going to try 1 to green again here. You know, the beef runs deep here at Martinsville Miatas, I guess, and even that was accidental too. Like, he just drove across the nose. It wasn't like anybody veered the other way. But hey, however you have to voice your displeasure, if there is any displeasure there, by all means, go for it.
We are on lap 37. We have 80 left tonight, so don't turn the dial, as they would say. I know we're streaming online, but don't turn the dial here. I think you're going to see a lot of action. Sora going to launch off once again. Green-white checkered attempt number 2 under green. Sora Huffman able to get cleared down to second. Caruth in third, and the field 2x2 behind him.
And then Huffman pulling off the short track defensive move immediately after the restart, filled the space between Sora and Raja Karut to say, hey, Raja, you're not going to get a move on the
Case Kallenbach just got junked. He was blocking for the transfer spot, Kenneth, and I mean, he blocked Bickford all the way to pit road, and Bickford said enough of this and jumped Case Kallenbach going into turn number 3. Bickford then got turned around off the nose of Steve Affont after the caution flag came out. Big implications back for the transfer spot. Case Kallenbach's car is absolutely destroyed. And James Bickford, he's had enough.
They are getting after it here at Martinsville, and James Bickford and Chris Wilner now almost making contact on pit lane. Bickford is not happy. Over the driver's radio, he is not happy about how that is all played out, to say the least. I heard a couple of words that I probably can't repeat on the broadcast here about what was going on there, but man, that was a big block, and I feel for Bickford because he was trying to make a move there, but I think he wasn't too sympathetic. By the time they got to turn 3, I think he was going in there with a mission.
And also, you got to think bad placement at the same time, because it's a weird gray area, especially on the entrance of turn 3. Right as the wall ends on that safer barrier, you have the entrance to pit road, and that gives you asphalt, obviously, so guys who want to come down there, they have the ability to before the corner actually approaches. So when Kallenbach had made that block, Bickford was just trying to fill the space, and you know, you can also make the argument that Bickford was just also trying to get his way back on the surface, because if they stay like that, in the placement that they were before the contact, Bickford would have slammed into the grass, into the curb, and probably would have immediately sent Kallenbach the same way up into that turn 3 outside safer barrier. So it's just a tough spot for both of them to be super aggressive. It's a weird gray area on that set of asphalt there, so it's just tough when you end up actually in turn 3 and somebody has to make space and somebody's going to have to bully their way through.
That's the way it's got to be at Martinsville. Boy, I just cannot wait for the rest of this night and what we have ahead. It looks like we haven't necessarily gotten a call, and I don't think we will, in the cause of that incident. So Bickford will stay in the race along with Colin Beck, the 2 drivers who were involved in that incident. We still have 14 drivers on the lead lap. Wilner's on pit road. Colin Beck isn't able to get his car fixed, so we have 14 on the lead lap. 12 go to the feature. This is our 3rd green-white checkered attempt for heat number 2, so this will be the last one. We'll see what the end result is. Sora getting hit in the box. He gets a late jump. Landon Huffman going to take the lead as we're here on lap number 1 of this 2-lap.
Oh, man. There goes the font. Bickford got involved in it. Now Seth Eggert is getting run over. No, that's Devin Henry. No, Balfons. I can't get any names right. He got run over by Nick Olson, and somehow Bickford is back in the transfer spot.
Bickford, through all that, is somehow in the transfer. Meanwhile, up front, 2 by 2, looking almost 3 behind him. A white flag in the air. A door-to-door battle for Presley Sora and Landon Huffman as they come to blows here on the back straightaway. Caruth going to look to try to make it 3 wide. He's going to send Sora up the racetrack, who spins Landon Huffman. Huffman gets turned. Caruth saws at the wheel. Sora going to hang on.
Huffman's going to make it barely because he pulled down in front of traffic. And that puts
the last transfer spot.
Yes, Olson's in, Balfons is out, Bickford is in, he finishes 10th. Are you kidding? Wow.
World.
What don't you like about short track racing?
That is man, I love this stuff. This is fantastic. So let's get a full fit. There was a lot happening there on that last lap. So let's just kind of at least go through the 12 that made it in. Presley Sora, Adam Cabot, Raja Caruth, Will Rogers, Max Kinnon, your top 5. Somehow Devin Henry finished 6th, Ford Martin 7th, Brian Boris Cook in 8th, 9th was Stephen Ellis, 10th was James Bickford after starting in 14th. Huffman made it in 11th after Jacob said he kind of got back going and used the traffic to his benefit. And Nick Olson will be your last one in. Belfans is out, and he will start 2nd in this LCQ. It'll be Brad Perez, George Belfans Jr. in 2nd, Brandon Brown, Steve Affont, Colin Fern, Case Collenbeck, Mark Revillis, Charlie Brown, Seth Eggert, Chris Wilner, your top 10, Michael Massey, Mike Clay, and Ruben Garcia, your 13 drivers who will take the green here in this Consi. Only 6 will go through, so 7 get eliminated. 8 drivers will be eliminated, so only the top 6 go forward.
And this is going to be tight as well, guys. Only 13 cars in this LCQ. And then only 6 spots. I mean, 12 was rather stout for the field that we had, usually around 18, 17 cars, but now it's only 13 and 6. So there's 7 spots left just to at least get out of this race and go home. Obviously, none of these drivers want to do that, and it's going to be immensely tough. As you look at the stats for Brad Perez, he's been a winner previously in this MNR series, won at the All-Star race, so won at the Next Gens of Road America, but has never been in this combo before to win before. So we'll see if Perez can do it. He's got a lot of strong drivers behind him, though, that are looking for redemption after Heats 1 and Heats 2.
And we know that, sorry, Blake, we know that the bumpers are put into play here. We just saw it in that last heat. And by the way, update from the end of the last heat, Landon Huffman will be starting at the tail end of the feature, so race control didn't quite like the move that he pulled, but he's still in the show.
The interesting call right there. You feel bad for Huffman. He was on the top side 3 wide and kind of just got spun. There was really nothing he could do up there. But up front, starting this one, Brad Perez, very familiar with these race cars. No shock to see him go to lead and get a big one already. Again, no caution. We'll get a halfway break in this 15-lap feature. So no cautions being thrown at this point. And we might be close to having one in the back of the field if we were to have them, though they are duking it out.
There it goes. Yeah, we got, oh, who in the world? That's Chris Wilner, got put in the wall in the front straightaway. He's still good, though, and man, Brandon Brown just got moved up out of the way. He's now P5, just like that. Remember, only top 6 make it in. Kenneth and Case Kallenbach, he is loose. Look out.
He's going to be in a tough spot, but he's going to hold his own on the inside, but watch the battle for the LCQ lead. It's George Belfans Jr. in the 2. Remember, he finished 2nd in the Sunrise 500 just 1 week ago, putting the fight to Brad Perez. He's going to tuck in behind, not going to do anything about it just yet, but this is the battle. Tight for the transfer spot. Kallenbach trying to hold on. He's going to lose it out of turn 4, and that's going to give the spot to Mark Rubilis.
It is just happening every single lap. The narrative is changing here at Martinsville. They are pulling away through your top 3 or 4, but I'm telling you what, they are battling hard here for 6th. Mark Rubilis right now has control of it. Seth Eggert was looking for it, may have gotten a shot from behind from Mike Clay, but this is exactly what you want. Battle for 6th is heated up. Charlie Brown now gets in, and at the stripe, he'll have that final transfer spot.
There's no may have. Mike Clay tried to just William Byron Seth Eggert out of the way right there. He just had no regard. He was moving him one way or another. Props to Eggert for keeping it slowed down in time. Clay tries to go around the outside. Eggert says no thank you. Here comes Wilner back to the bottom. Charlie Brown is the transfer spot, and it's a race basically 7th on back to try and get to him.
Well, I was about to say, is that William Byroning him out of the way, or is that,
Chris Wilner into the wall hard. Mike Clay is off track. A huge crash coming off turn number 2. Chris Wilner got rear-ended, he got loose, and then got hit by Mike Clay, and Wilner went hard into the outside wall. Kallenbach and Michael Massey piled on in as well. Big damage in the back of the field.
Kallenbach has no right front tire, but he might be saved by the fact that we're going to get a halfway caution. And yes, that's the case. So Kallenbach can't turn into the corner right now. He is riding the wall in 1 and 2 because he doesn't have a wheel, but he wanted to ride around and get to the caution flag. So, whew, man, a lot to unpack here as we reach the halfway point.
And he frankly got saved, guys, by that caution. Now immediately going to tuck into pit road as some of the field may elect to do that based on how much damage they have on their MX-5 Miatas. No doubt about it, Kallenbach going to look for a faster pair. And for Chris Wilner, I believe this race, at least in the LCQ, is going to be over because he's going to go 3 laps down here on the racetrack. So Chris Wilner may be getting sent home for this TUFCO flooring challenge here at Martinsville Speedway. But I saw the great battles around 6th place, and fortunately for Brown, was just looking at the rearview mirror with a smile because everybody behind them was trying to battle. They were all kind of handling business on their own right, and Brown was like, all right, I'll just pull away from it, and you guys necessarily won't get any of the pie because I'll be in the feature and you guys won't. So Charlie Brown had a little bit of a good run going to separate himself from everybody else in that transfer spot, but now he's got to fight for it all over again.
Again, this reset really just stacks them up, and it will make things very interesting as we continue to move forward here through this consolation race. Again, we're not even to the big show yet. 65-lap feature coming up just after this in the TUFCO Flooring Challenge, and boy, has it been a challenge to say the least. This has been a challenge. This has been chaotic. I think this is kind of what you come to expect whenever you come to Martinsville here in iRacing, and with these MX-5s, they certainly allow you a little bit of freedom to try and get after some drivers as well. So lights are still on the pace car. We'll get the 1 to go signal, I believe, the next time by. So officially, that will put it. We'll get the green with 4 laps to go into regulation. Again, another feature where we have 3 green-white checkers in the back pocket should we need them. And we might. I'm just going to make a prediction here, guys. We might need it. Just maybe.
I have a hunch that we just might. Yeah. If they keep racing the way they've been racing the last 30 laps or so, yeah, we're going to need probably all 3 green-white checkers and a couple of crying towels and maybe some boxing gloves at the end of the night.
Well, if you're like Justin Malillo, who just said, I'm out of popcorn, well, the good news is we'll have a little bit of a break here between the Consi and the feature for you to refill up your tub. You can go and kind of get the large refill at the front of the theater. Perez going to launch off at turn number 4. A great jump there for car number 60. He'll move out ahead as George Bell fans. The tire changer right behind him, Brandon Brown, will hold on to 4th. But boy, is he sideways there on the top side. Colin Fern, Brandonville Motorsports, going to try to battle for 3rd.
Colin Fern with a solid move out of turn 2 to put the fight up to the 12 of Brandon Brown. And by the way, he's racing at the dirt track in Charlotte at his sim rig there. So cool to see that Brandon Brown's got a sight up at the front of the field here in this LCQ. Fern not able to make that move, but as long as he doesn't get bullied out of the way by Brown or Rabilis, he should be okay to make that transfer spot. Here's Alfon, who's just outside looking in on Mark Rabilis. We'll see if he makes a move in the final 2 laps.
We'll see what he can do here. Afont looking at the transfer right in front of him. If he doesn't get it done, he's going to go home. 2 laps to go. Afont trying to catch Rabilis. Rabilis giving him a little bit of room. Some contact made, but that's all good Martinsville racing right there. Afont looking to the inside. Rabilis will go down a block. He gets a shot from Afont, but is still able to hold on.
That's incredible car control from Rabilis. He should have been gone twice on that lap as they take the white flag. Afont's going to send it down into turn number 1, trying to peek to the outside, then cross him over. He backs off a big time as there's a crash behind. Mike Clay is up into the wall. Here they come into turn number 3. One last shot here for Afont.
And it looks like into 3 and 4, not going to be much of a chance. Oh, and Afont just dumps Mark Rabilis, punts him out.
Here comes Garcia!
And now
Garcia gets it! Are you kidding?
Ruben Garcia is going to be the final transfer after Steve Afont throws caution to the wind and just flat out punts Mark Rabilis there in 3 and 4. There is no doubt about it. That is the 2nd straight time that Ruben Garcia has gotten in through a last chance qualifier in amazing fashion. But no doubt about it, guys. I think Afont just threw it all on the line and just drove right over Mark Rabilis.
Yeah, Afont certainly sent it as deep as he possibly could. I can imagine Rabilis not happy about that. We'll see if race control says anything about it, but Ruben Garcia coming out of nowhere to barely nose ahead the driver behind to get into that final transfer spot. We made the storyline before the Sunrise 500 in the duels that he nosed ahead of Gabe Wood at the very last second, and now Ruben Garcia does it again for a 2nd straight time. I want to see the stats and the odds on that because that's unbelievable. Ruben Garcia is in the big show.
Well, so that wraps up your heats and consies, guys. Just the heats and consies. We still have 65 laps of a main feature to go. How about it?
Don't you dare get away from your computer screen, your phone screen, your TV screen, whatever it is you're looking at right now. Don't get away from it. The best is yet to come. And we may very well burn down what's left of Martinsville Speedway here by the time this thing is said and done. These guys have hit everything but the hot dog stand, and that might be next here in these next 65 laps.
Yeah, that certainly is the case. And by the way, here, of course, everybody knows the Martinsville hot dogs. If somebody hits a stand and there's one that, you could steal one from the concession stand, I'd like one, even though they're only $2. I mean, they're not very expensive. Yeah. I had several here on my trip here a couple of weeks ago. Well, we'll step aside for just a moment. The Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, the TUFCO Flooring Challenge, coming up next here on Podium eSports.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're going to run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Back with you here of live coverage of round number 2 of Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, the TUFCO Flooring Challenge, getting set to duel it out for 65 laps here at the Martinsville Speedway in these MX-5 machines. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz on the call. Ryan Bauer in the virtual production trailer with cameras provided by Dougie Beard tonight. And guys, well, we've cleared out a number of drivers. There are 8 after all of that are sent home. Steve Affont, Case Collenbach, Mike Clay, Michael Massey, Seth Eggert, Mark Rebellis, and Chris Wilner. Some M&R regulars in there who will not make the main feature tonight. They're going to go home. But we have 30 drivers who are going to get set. They're getting a couple of warm-up laps in here to just kind of get caught back up to speed. But 30 drivers set to duel in front of us tonight. We have not been disappointed or left free of action this season. I don't think we're going to be disappointed here.
No, certainly not. I mean, with the way that Heat 2 and the LCQ went, we basically just unraveled the chaos of Martinsville Speedway. And we've seen in the sim, in other leagues, and across the whole sim, this track is never usually a long green flag race. You're always going to see contact. You're always going to see the big sends. You're always going to see the large, meaty moves happen out of the racetrack, whether it's turn 1 or 2 or 3 and 4 out on the surface. So, I mean, we probably saw a good preview of what's to come in this 65-lap feature. Ultimately, I think we got to cover up and get ready because the fog is coming in that case. It's going to be insane.
It is going to be insane. But yeah, also, Jacob, I know we've been talking a lot about tempers, about chaos, about drama. We've had plenty of that tonight. But the one thing I saw in practice, if you could get a good group of 6, 8 cars, this can be some incredible racing. And we saw that in practice. I don't think, I know we've kind of been doom and gloom here talking about, oh, there's so many crashes and whatnot. But I don't necessarily think that it's all going to be just that. I think you get this group together, now we have all the drivers who are moving forward to the feature. I think we can get some really good racing in tonight, side by side, door to door. We know these cars are capable of doing it here, and I think we may see a little bit more of that in a little bit of a longer race.
I kind of think we will too, just because you know that everybody is in the show now. You don't need to worry about trying to move somebody out of the way in order to transfer in. You've also got the fact that, you know, points are on the line now, so some guys might be a little more aggressive. But at the end of the day, 65 laps to try and put together something to win. I think after the heats and the consolation, they now know, all right, let's not go crazy. Let's tone it down a little bit so we can just get it rolling here.
Well, speaking of getting it rolling, we are going to get it rolling. Drivers are starting to get on the grid and head out to their cars. This is the starting lineup for the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. It'll be Shane Van Gisbergen, driver of the 97, who led every single lap, quickest time in qualifying. He will start on the pole with Presley Sora, your heat number 2 winner, to his outside of the number 98. Preston Pardis will start at the inside of road number 2. Adam Cabot will roll off in 4th, your season 4 champion in Monday Night Racing. Last week's Daytona winner, Anthony Alfredo, will start alongside Raja Caruth, who won that championship race last year, although he was not in that championship 4. Gabe Wood, Jacob Hitz's pick, is going to start in the 7th spot. Will Rogers, representing Space Station, the NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, going to start in 8th. Bailey Turner will roll off in 9th, and Max Kinnon going to start in the 10th spot.
David Schildhouse in the 20 will start P11 tonight. He'll be joined by Glendale, Arizona's Devin Henry on his outside in row number 6. It'll be Gary Sexton in the Battle Beaver MX-5 in 13th. League owner Ford Martin for Crypto Autosport will be behind him in P14. TJ Cummings, Brian Boris Cook on the drivers 15th and 16th on the starting grid. In Seminole, Florida's Robbie Lyons in 17th. Stephen Ellis in 18th. Garrett Smithley in P19. And Charlotte Phoenix's James Bickford, Jacob Hitz rounding out the top 20.
We had a feature on him in pre-race. Justin Milano starts in P21. Landon Huffman, that was Blake's pick. He's going to start at the tail end of the field. Initially supposed to start in 22nd. Matt Stallman, Nick Olson make up row number 12. Then it's Brad Perez, George Balfans Jr., Brandon Brown, Colin Fern, Charlie Brown, and Ruben Garcia, who snuck in by the skin of his teeth He's the last guy in the field tonight here from Martinsville.
Certainly so, and by the way, I got your pick wrong, Jacob. I'll clarify.
Yes.
You picked David, Kenneth picked Gabe, so that was my fault on that. And indeed, you're right. Landon Huffman going to be put at the tail end of the field to start this feature, and also hearing word from Race Control, it is not just Landon Huffman. It is Raja Karuth, who is also going to be put at the tail end of the longest line to start this race. There was some discussion on whether Presley Sora was going to be as well. He is going to retain that starting spot in second, so 2 EOLs issued to both Landon Huffman and Raja Karuth, so they'll have to bring it on up from 29th and 30th here in this feature. You see the lights have come on. The headlights from these MX-5s are going to be lighting the way here at Martinsville. So the lights go on the MX-5s, the lights go off on the iRacing.com pace car. 65 laps, caution flag laps do count, and we of course appreciate everybody. Well, no, they turned the daggum lights back on the pace car. So
see, it's weird. On the initial start, they'd never turn the lights on. So when we extend the parade laps, it never turns them on. I think we're coming to green this time. But I have a question for both of you guys. Back to the doom and gloom a little bit. We know the contact that Colin Fern and Shane Van Gisbergen had back at Auto Club at the end of the season. Championship implications on the line, and lap 1, turn 1, Fern gets turned by SVG. Do we see payback tonight if Fern's able to get from the back to the front?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know if it's fitting enough to serve the payback here. Maybe on the grander stage in the playoffs, in the finals, maybe. But here, I think Fern's just going to be aggressive as he always is normally.
I think we're going to see payback for that for a long time, but that's just my opinion. It may start in this race, it may not end in this race. As the lights are off, green flag is in the air, and Shane Van Gisbergen will get us started here for the MX-5s at Martinsville, the field 2x2, as they work into turns 1 and 2.
It's a quick getaway for Shane Van Gisbergen, but once again, Presley Sora manning the middle outside lane. He's going to get loose, though. Car will step out. He'll catch it just in time, but it opens.
Ford Martin
is around. Caution is out.
All by himself, too, Kenneth. He just lost it all on his own. He just drove it in a little too high. Man, he got out of the concrete, up onto the asphalt. And as soon as he dropped that right rear, that thing just completely went around. He was already halfway there by the time he got up there, but just a little too much speed. Ford was in that first heat. Been a while since he took some laps on the racetrack. And lap 1, turn 3, driver of the 07 goes around.
And I will speak a little bit to that. Again, I ran this car a lot back in the fall in a very long race. And, yeah, that if you get that right side tire up onto the asphalt and your left side's around the concrete, that car just gets really loose. Especially, we've already had a number of laps put on the track tonight, so there starts to be a lot of build-up, a lot of marbles kind of building up there above the concrete. This outside line, you can get it to work, but you have to stay in the concrete to do it. If you go a little bit higher, Kenneth, you're asking for trouble, and I think Ford Martin kind of the first example we've seen tonight of that happening.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of trouble, especially if you get on the transition. One thing to also note about these Mazda MX-5 Miata cars as we go back to green with Shane Van Gisbergen up front is that on cold tires, these cars are very, very loose. Even on the road courses, when you start up with fresh tires and you've got coldness on the temperatures, this car is going to be all over the place until you can get some laps in, and then it'll finally settle into its rhythm. Hopefully it's going to get in sooner than later for a majority of the field. Presley Sora moves underneath Preston Pardis, takes away P2. They're 3 wide for position in the midst of the top 10.
Oh, they're 3 wide behind them as they work into turn number 1. Stuck on the outside, that is Anthony Alfredo. And a big stack up in front of them. They're going to go 4 wide as they're trying to funnel through. 5 wide. That doesn't work. Caution, hard impact with the outside wall. Oh, man, a big wreck here in 3 and 4.
Parking lot. Devin Henry piles in. Charlie Brown with damage. Brian Boris Cook is around. This all started when Gabe Wood made contact in the middle of turn 1 and 2 with the 42 of Preston Pardis. Pardis got loose. Gabe Wood got into him off corner exit. Everybody fanned out and stacked up Then Anthony Alfredo and David Schildhouse made contact after Schildhouse got hit by DJ Cummings. That got him sideways. Will Rogers got hooked innocently into the outside wall. A hellacious impact for him. And then the track is blocked. Nowhere to go. Brian Boris Cook involved. Robbie Lyons turned around. Nick Olson. And on. And on. And on. I mean, it is a scrapyard in turn number 3 here at Martinsville. And that's not the last time we're going to see that tonight.
No, it is not. And again, these cars, they're so close in speed. They're right on top of each other all the time. So you can kind of get to where we're going to see. I know we usually say to talk about big ones for where we were last week at Daytona, but I think it's just as true. I mean, look at that. They're 5 wide entering that corner. And even at Martinsville, with these cars, you could probably fit about 5 or 6 wide if everybody was perfectly entering the corner, but you're never going to get that here.
And you're also going to have different braking points, too. That's going to be a talking point all evening, is how drivers set up the brakes into the corners, whether they want to get off the gas a little bit earlier, whether they want to dive it deeper into the corners. There's always that miscommunication because every driver has their own different style. So, of course, when you have that stack up, it ultimately creates the contact. What started the impact between Cummings and Schildhouse and then got everybody else involved.
Oh, man, a lot going on here early on, but we are, I think, going to get back going, and yes, indeed, we are. Green flag back out. Shane Van Gisbergen back up front here at Martinsville.
Oh, that ain't going to last long. Anthony Alfredo dove it underneath Gary Sexton, and I thought for sure there was going to be contact. Here we go into turn 3, still 3 wide. Here comes the 21 Max Kennan. He bumps Gabe Wood out of the way. They are still 3 wide coming off turn 4.
3 wide, and it was Garrett Smithley who I saw a little bit of a wiggle out of around that 10th spot. He's just behind James Bickford. He gets into Bickford up at the racetrack, and Bickford up into another car up there. I can't even keep up. That is Preston Pardis who got hit. He saves it, though. Still stacking them up 3 wide into 3.
And Pardis has had a tough time since the start of this race. Got into the contact with Gabe Wood and immediately has been sent back into the Hornet's Nest. He's going to have to bully his way back up to the front, side by side between Landon Huffman and Ruben Garcia. Ruben Garcia started pretty much dead last in this field, apart from Huffman and Carruth, who got EOLs to start this race. And now all of them, look at this, 12th, 13th, 14th on the racetrack, got a couple of more cars behind. Bickford, Bell fans included.
Well, don't only look at them. Look at Colin Fern, 28th to 11th on lap 12 at Martinsville. An impressive feed. And when you talk about drivers who are determined, we've mentioned time and time again, Colin Fern is determined in Season 5 here in this M&R Pro Series. And I think he is, he's already showing early on tonight. Missed a big wreck, but the biggest mover so far, driver of that number 86, looking to get it done and crack the top 10 here in just a moment. Oh, and he may do it as 2 spin in front of them up into the top 10. That is Gary Sexton and Anthony Alfredo down towards the pit lane exit. They got together in turn number 2, and looks like they came to a rest just beyond the pit exit here. You can see working off of turn 4. Look at the number 23 and the number 1 car. They're going to get together a little bit here heading into 1.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Anthony Alfredo just sending in a little bit too deep. You see Garrett Smithley get into the back of Alfredo as he tried to slow down and hope Gary Sexton could save it. They both go around. They get down onto the apron, though, which is good for everybody behind him, and just Anthony drove it in a little too deep. Just a touch is all it takes. These cars are out of control, especially right at that part in the corner. Just takes a tap, and that's enough to send these guys out of control and sideways. And some contact between, that's a 60 of Brad Perez that got into the back of Smithley as he went up to the wall to try and avoid the rest of it.
In the longest line, going to be tabbed to Anthony Alfredo. And Kenneth, I know we mentioned this last week, but when you get a couple of tracks where you tend to see more crashes than not, tracks like Daytona where we went to in round 1. Now we're at Martinsville, which is a hotbed for cautions. We still have this new rule that I think is really going to sneak up on some drivers as we get later into the year, talking about this incident limit rule that goes with you throughout the year. Obviously, you get 2 in one race and you're done, but you get 12 in one season and your season is over, and yet we have, I think, several drivers who are already starting to rack up 2, almost 3 incidents. And we're not even through the second race. That's got to be something, if you're looking to contend for this championship, that's going to be in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's going to be very big, and ultimately later in the season, we're going to see the grand effects of it if anybody oversteps that 12 incident boundary, which hopefully nobody does, and we get to see everybody continue to race each and every week. But with these 2 races in, it's just so hard to avoid catastrophe. It's so hard to avoid these cautions, and hopefully these guys don't end up building more incident counters for later in the campaign when it may matter the most. And if many of them end up in the M&R playoffs, it could be a huge storyline that could change the whole trajectory of the season. Green flag back in the air, lap 17, and here comes SVG into the inside for the lead.
Van Gisbergen to the inside, but holding strong. We saw Presley Sora able to do it in his heat. Can he make it happen here as the track temperature continues to fall? I think that helps that outside line. Dicing it up behind them, though. 1 car way up the racetrack in 1. They keep it sorted for now. 2x2 up front, though. Sora not giving up.
Yeah, it was George Balfons Jr. that got sent wide. There was some contact with Raja Karuth in that mess back there, back from 10th on back. And they are still stacked up a good ways throughout the rest of the field. But they're not done battling yet. Adam Cabot, the champ, down on the inside. Bailey Turner up on the outside. Cabot's going to get the spot, but here comes Turner peeking to the inside. Cabot's going to shut the door and almost look for the lead. SVG with a big pinch on Presley Sora. Sora comes right to the back bumper as they stack up. Kennan on back off 4.
And that's what you're going to see, a lot of drivers having to defend and take that inside line to block a move. Sora going to go to the outside, though, to try to get around Van Gisbergen once again. Here comes Adam Cabot. He's going to take advantage of that, looking for second. He'll dive down to the inside. Sora, as well as anybody, can make that outside work, but just don't know how well he can quite do it. They're 2x2 behind him, though, 5th on back.
It was a solid move, but the Glen Gardner, New Jersey native of Adam Cabot just saw the door open and went into it sneakily, and now he's most likely going to be able to take P2 away from Presley Sora. He also has a fellow teammate in Bailey Turner behind him, so just in case, if Adam Cabot ends up in a situation where he may have to do some diving maneuvers, Bailey Turner will probably help mitigate the effects of Presley Sora trying to hold in on the outside, and they both could try and clear or get ahead of the 97 who continues to lead this race. But look at the distance where Bailey Turner is in P4 to Gabe Wood. It's about half a second, but usually with these cars, Blake, it's a rather long distance as the caution comes out once again. It's Ford and Nick Olsen.
Man, I was even thinking, is this what a green flag run feels like at Martinsville? Well, 3 wide, and Ford Martin, I don't think, knew that they were 3 wide with Anthony Alfredo and Olsen. You'll see here, Alfredo's going to go to the bottom 3 wide, so they're 3 wide all the way. And Ford's going to turn down pretty hard on exit, and just there's no room. And pinches at Nick Olsen, and then here comes the 10 of DJ Cummings piling it in, nowhere for him to go. And Brian Boris Cook, I think he saved it. Got a little sideways down the back stretch, but I think he kept it straight for the most part.
He did, but I think you're right on that assessment, Jacob, that it was just tough to know that you're in a 3 wide scenario right there. It is going to be Ford Martin who's going to be tabbed with the cause of that caution, so he'll be put at the tail end of the field amongst some others who are coming down. What I would think are 4 repairs: Devin Henry, Brian Boris Cook, George Belfans Jr. Right now, you're only 3 cars on pit road. I know we talked about it pre-race. You're not going to want to go down there aside from getting repairs, because fuel, you can already make it to the end. Tires, not really a ton of fall off here, not going to make much of a difference. So again, if you're going down there, it's because something fell off or something isn't going right or you're slow. Those are the only 3 things I can think of.
I think that's a good thing, Blake, about the sim pit crews, is that they immediately know to pull out the hammer at all times instead of having to question whether this should or not, depending on the situation. But of course, yes, damage is going to be very important. But what's also going to be very important in this race, also to tally off with the Sunrise 500, is the fast repair. There's going to be some races in this season where that fast repair probably won't mean as much in the grand scheme of things, but here at Martinsville, where you're prone to contact, and at Daytona last week, where you're also prone to contact at high speeds, that fast repair is going to mean huge things if you end up putting it correctly in the right place.
Pace car going to go off, green flag back in the air as SVG has led every single lap he's competed in tonight here at Martinsville, and that is the best seat in the house up front, not having to worry about all that's going on behind him. Give a nod to, how about Brad Perez, who has worked his way from that LCQ up into 7th, 25th starting spot, and Brad Perez, who again we know loves driving these cars in real life, and well equipped, I guess, to drive it around an oval as well tonight.
Restart under review as the field makes their way through turns 1 and 2. We'll see if Josh Mendoza decides to give anybody a black flag for a restart violation. There was some discussion over the radio that whatever it was, they gave the position back side by side for second, though. Adam Cabot, Presley Sora all over each other, and Shane Van Gisbergen has been given a black flag for a restart violation. Your race leader, black flag by Josh Mendoza. He's going to have to come to pit road.
And we'll see if he'll come down to serve that black flag, and indeed he is. We'll get word on officially why that was called. It may have been for too early of a restart, and no, it was a lane change. You can look at the replay, a lane change up into the top lane. You cannot change lanes until you get to the start-finish line, and Vance Gisbergen went all the way to the top. Meanwhile, up front, 3 wide, battle for the lead. Down on the bottom of the racetrack, number 5 of Bailey Turner looking to go to the point here at Martinsville.
And these guys realized it was Cabot and Sora who were side by side. They saw SVG come down pit road and say, hey, we're battling for the race lead, not P2 anymore. And just like I said, Bailey Turner trying to help things out, but ultimately makes things worse for his Cabot eSports teammate up at the high side. And Presley Sora to the race lead and bring in more cars. Here's Gabe Wood, there's Max Kennan, there's Landon Huffman, a long train of cars willing to take the pounce if anybody makes a mistake.
And that's largely what you're going to see up here at the front, especially cars that are so even on speed, where the little cracks that you can find in the armor to try and make some ground. We see a little bit of a mistake there, perhaps from Gabe Wood. Went really deep there in the corner. Does Kennan decide to go 3 wide? Yes, he is. Into the corner. He looked like it. He ends up closing the door. Does Gabe Wood, and Wood will hang on to 4th. Side by side behind him, though, for 6th between Bickford and Landon Huffman.
The good news for Shane Van Gisbergen is the fact that he hasn't fallen a lap down yet, and the only way he will, I think, is if we go green the rest of the way, just because he's got about a straightaway length to Presley Sora, the race leader, and he's fast enough where they're not gaining on him as quick as maybe the leaders might hope to trap him a lap down. So as long as he gets a caution sooner or later, he'll be okay. He'll get back on the lead lap, but he'll be way back in the hornet's nest as Anthony Alfredo just got blocked by Will Rogers all the way to the hot dog stand down the back straightaway, and Alfredo paid the favor back in 3.
Well, and speaking of blocks going on, here's another one here. Max Kennan trying to get up into the 4th spot. Gabe Wood, who kind of threw a mini block on him on the front straightaway, going to give way here. There is a little bit of a slipstream here down the straightaway, if we can even say that. So there's just the tiniest bit of draft that can help you just enough to make that pass. And Kennan going to use that to full advantage. He now goes into 4th. And Huffman and Bickford, they've been going at it for the last couple of laps. You can see some door contact there with Huffman, who hasn't been afraid to go 3 wide, and he is going to get to the inside of Gabe Wood as they get to turn 3. They nearly come to blows. Raja Karuth just behind Huffman, I'm sure, going to try to make up a spot as well.
And it just looks like, Blake, that these two have been the duo to just tally up through the field. Huffman has been opening the doors and say, hey, follow me. Karuth has been able to find his place to stay behind that 075 and pick up positions alongside. Here's 3 wide, Ruben Garcia. Underneath, that's Brad Perez. A bit of a block in turn 3. He's going to stay out of the fight just for now. Bickford on the very top. And it is only getting crunchier from here. Here's Karuth outside of Gabe Wood. Wood will hold on. He'll tuck on behind the line. And what a job it's been to move up through the field, guys, with Landon Huffman and Raja Karuth both starting respectively 22nd and basically near the tail end of the field with that EOL. Both of them were in trouble to start this race, and it's looking up for them very quickly as Bickford hits the ground.
Bickford goes around off of turn 4, and
they're still wrecking.
They come back down the track. It looks like
they're still wrecking. Justin Malillo piles in. Balfons Jr. involved. Nobody holding the brakes, and this wreck lasts from the middle of turn 3 all the way past the start-finish line. 4 more cars piled in after the caution flag came out.
I was going to say, I was just about to turn our attention back there to 20th, where they were 3 wide for a number of laps back there, and that's likely how they pile in right there. You can see just enough contact. I believe that's Case Collin back right there. Bickford goes around. You can see the second wreck happens on the front straightaway, and they continue to pile in. Oh, and that's just a case of not holding the brakes right there and tagging a few more cars in that.
It's just a tough scenario there as Alfredo was rolling through. That's a bad spot to be in if you're Alfredo, though. Bickford is sliding down because he's trying to save the car, and there's no space. And then right there, everybody just comes in. It's just a bad spot overall. There's Bell fans on board with the 2 car, and Alfredo, as he rolled back onto the straightaway on the start-finish line area, it's where it packed up a couple more cars. Alfredo basically in the bin. He's on pit road. Garrett Smithley's in it as well. Charlie Brown, Colin Fern among those that also have hit pit road, mostly for damage repair. And also, guys, Shane Van Gisbergen, we saw him on pit road to serve a penalty, the black flag on the restart. That's the caution he needed. He's back in it. He was way behind the caution when it came out.
Certainly so. That is definitely going to help him a lot to try to get back into this race, into this field, and see if he can't try and get back up to the front like he's been all night. Well, built to top industry standards, Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all-day Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and of course we support and are appreciative of their support of Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Round number 2 of the TUFCO Flooring Challenge taking place here. Guys, the laps have ticked down. We got 24 to go when we take the green this time. Presley Sora will lead him off of turn 4. An early restart for him. Hopefully not a lot of lane changes taking place. Looking to go 3 wide back there. Raja Karuth looking to try to make his way up. He's up into the top 5.
Man, here comes Bailey Turner. He was peeking, couldn't quite get there. And we know Raja Karuth, he is not afraid to ruffle up a few feathers, especially racing for the win, as Garrett Smithley has parked the car for the night. Here comes Landon Huffman. He's not afraid either. Can't quite make the move work into 1.
He can't quite do it, but he'll try once again. Holding on is Kennan.
Colin Fern. No caution yet. He's in the middle of the racetrack. Now it's out. He got loose, was trying to save it. Coming up off the corner. He was right in front of Shane Van
that was
Gisbergen.
SVG.
Yeah, SVG just turned him. I mean, he was on him all the way off the corner and then finally finished him off. Wow.
Oh,
Beef.
Man. Yes, this is carried over from last season, big time right here. So Colin Fern getting wrecked right there. Call over the radio. SVG says sorry. Well, I can only wonder how much that Colin Fern would trust that that's a genuine apology here. Let's look into turns 1 and 2. You see Fern make the pass on the high side. A little bit of contact there off of 2, and there you have it. Just a little bit of trying to get around him and couldn't quite do it. SVG going to be tagged with the cause of caution, be put to the tail end of the field. But, yeah, that is some beef that is carrying over for a while now. It even started before the championship race last fall, but or last winter. But that's been that's something that I'm not surprised we saw at some point tonight in Martinsville between those two.
Well, you both had me beat because I thought nothing was going to happen between these two, but ultimately ended up making contact to cause this recent yellow. It just looked like there on the exit of turn 2, Fern was just loose before the contact ensued, but ultimately Van Gisbergen didn't really hold on to the brakes, didn't really try to slow up to get around Colin Fern. Maybe it looked like a case of he thought Fern was going to be able to save it in time before anything dramatic had happened, but ultimately Fern overcorrects the car based on the second hit of contact and then goes around there. So more beef between the 86 and the 97. Ultimately, this may be a season-long fight that may take us to the playoffs if SVG is eligible for it. We'll just have to see. It's getting crazy here in Martinsville.
Before we go back to the green flag, we'd like to remind you that Battle Beaver has everything you need for your next professionally modded custom controller. With options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more, Battle Beaver has everything you need to elevate your gaming potential. Head to BattleBeaverCustoms.com to customize your controller. That is BattleBeaverCustoms.com. Use the code Podium. That is promo code Podium, Podium, for 10% off. You can see the link right there at the bottom of your screen. Also, another award that we have to give out here tonight, guys. Last place gets that $25 gift card courtesy of DoorDash. That is going to go to Garrett Smithley, so perhaps he can, I don't know, he could go get something with it and perhaps order it and receive it before this race is over. Green flag back in the air. They're going to go 3 wide for second. Here comes Raja Caruth up the bottom. Way up the racetrack goes Max Kinnon.
Normally, that wouldn't work. In these things, it works as they're crashing in turn 1. Again, Shane Van Gisbergen is around, and he just lost it all on his own. I thought maybe Colin Fern was in the zip code. No, SVG just drove it in the corner, backed her into the fence, and that was that. We got a caution for a crash in 26th.
Well, and I think that was a case of what we saw exactly from Ford and Martin earlier. You're going to see probably came down, got some new tires, so the tires are cold, is straddling that line with the asphalt, and yeah, just a self-spin right there at the top of the racetrack.
Yeah, this car, especially in the opening runs, like I mentioned, very prone to getting sideways. And also to couple with that, guys, the fact that because these cars don't have as much power and they're not really going as fast around this Martinsville Speedway, they have the opportunity to brake a lot later and roll through the corner, as opposed to the stock cars that you would have to really slow them down before rolling it into the apex. And it's just a bad coupling there for Shane Van Gisbergen, who will go around again. And it looked like the caution previously was going to help his case. Now these last two have really set him back once again.
They really have, as we want to remind you, Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products. They take care of everything, pay nothing, and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online store today, visit BOOSTED.BIZ. That is BOOSTED.BIZ. The link at the bottom of your screen. You can boost your brand for free. So go ahead and check that out as we continue to pace under caution here at the TUFCO Flooring Challenge at the Martinsville Speedway. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz on the call with you here at the half-mile paperclip that Sora and Van Gisbergen really has dominated. Not so recently, though, for the driver of the 97. Pace car is going to come off, and Sora will have control with, by the way, just 14 laps to go, and we get the green flag. A very early jump for Sora as he gets us back going. Green flag in the air. Only 14 more circuits to do it here, and Caruth going to go to the top 3 wide for second.
He's got to be careful because he's going to get turned right there by Landon Huffman if he's not careful. I can't believe they made that work. Here comes Bailey Turner to the bottom. He'll take over second. Raj is still trying the outside. You got the series champ and Adam Cabot there on the inside line trying to charge his way forward. Don't look now. David Schildhaus is trying to break Gabe Wood's ankles going into one. Ruben Garcia is going to get turned around and not be able to save it. Up into Brian Boris Cook and into the wall. We stay green off 2.
Well, they didn't spin. They just piled it into the fence as they are still side by side for third. You have Adam Cabot, spotter for last year. Bailey Turner right in front of him. You have Adam Cabot on the bottom in third. Caruth, kind of like we saw Presley Sora, really able to make that high side work. Perhaps got a little bit too high there in turns 1 and 2, though. Here comes Brad Perez up the inside, and Caruth, I think, will just give way to him and get back down to the bottom and shut the door on Max Kinnon.
And it's a fine rope, like you got to walk on there if you're on that outside lane, because Presley Sora did it right. He was able to push through the middle, force the driver down low to slow themselves down because he's pinching them down there. But Caruth, if you float a little bit too high up on that concrete surface, it won't spell any positive moments for you at all. Here comes Adam Cabot to the inside of Bailey Turner for second. Brad Perez, Roger Caruth among the others that may take a pounce if things go awry with this side-by-side battle. But for Presley Sora, he'll lead him across the line. 10 laps to go from Martinsville.
Kennan and Huffman had a little bit of contact that'll slot Huffman back into the 8th position, but they're able to take care of it. Otherwise, again, 2nd and 3rd likely going to take care of each other. Again, Bailey Turner, your spotter for Adam Cabot in his championship run last season, and Carruth going to go by in one corner and get by Brad Perez just before a yellow flag flies. A lot of junk. That's exactly right, Jacob, in turn 4.
Yeah, Robbie Lyons, Brandon Brown. That was the initial contact. Brandon Brown and Will Rogers going into turn number 3. Brandon Brown got around and right in front of the field, nowhere to go. Robbie Lyons piled in a hard hit for him. DJ Cummings and Charlie Brown collided, just trying to avoid. But it's Brandon Brown that makes that initial contact. And a hard hit for Robbie Lyons. He had a strong car last week. Haven't heard much from him as far as tonight is concerned. Here's the replay one more time. And just coming down the racetrack. And Roger slid up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of assistance there. But nonetheless, round goes to 12. And we get a caution inside 10 to go. And, man, Blake, I got to tell you, Bailey Turner just about set that move up perfectly on Presley Sora. I don't know if he's just waiting to make the move. But down the front straightaway, Presley threw a big block on him, down to the wall, so Turner came back up to the outside, made the arc into the corner, kind of backed off, and then jabbed the gas in the middle of the corner, came right up to the rear bumper of Presley Sora, almost moved him out of the way. I think he did get into the back bumper. If he keeps doing that, he might be able to find a way to rattle the roll cage of Presley Sora and scoot and boogie him out of the way for the win.
He just might be able to do it. And again, you have to take every opportunity, Kenneth. I think when you're looking at how this race is playing out, especially when the leader can get such a big jump on these restarts, and then they'll battle for second, the leader will kind of pull away. You have to take any opportunity, whether that's on the bottom, whether that's on the top. I think you just got to kind of throw everything at the leader and just hope that something sticks.
That's definitely true, and also with the fact that we're basically closing in these laps. These laps go by very, very quickly around the 22-second bracket, so if you're Bailey Turner, you have to take every opportunity that opens up for you, because if it closes and you don't take that chance, there's probably going to be the opportunity for Presley Sora to just run away with the win and have no quarrels going to the end. We'll see the two former Road to Glory drivers, Sora, Turner in the front row, hoping to keep defense on the rest of the field behind.
3 drivers out of the field, Brian Boris Cook, Anthony Alfredo, and Garrett Smithley. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, actually Alfredo's still back on the racetrack now. He is 15 laps down. Green flag in the air, 5 laps to go. They are tight for second. Sora out by about a car length. And does Carruth think about 3 wide? Not just yet into 3.
Adam Cabot did a good job of sealing the door shut so Raja Carruth couldn't burst his way through. It's side by side for second. It's all Presley Sora really wants to see in his rearview mirror. Somebody has got to break through, though, whether it's Cabot or whether it's Turner. Heck, maybe the field wads them up behind him, and it won't really matter. Coming to 3 laps to go, Raja Carruth is hungry. Let's see if anybody else is hungrier as Brad Perez gets turned off the bumper of Preston Pardis. Caution is out. We're going to overtime as DJ Cummings and Brandon Brown pile it in for yet another caution flag. A little too aggressive, and Brad Perez gets the short end of the stick.
Oh, this will be interesting to note. I know these two know each other very well. Pretty good friends out here, Preston Pardis and Brad Perez. Perez, of course, making his Campbell World Truck Series debut just a little bit earlier, and this year at the Circuit of the Americas. And Preston Pardis, a very accomplished road racer in his own right. Oh, man, a tough hit back there, piling on in late was DJ Cummings. You can see his car right there, a late entry into that wreck. But interesting move right there from Pardis as he thought he had the inside on Perez. They get together. You see the damage ensuing with the big E on the hood. That's for eNASCAR and DJ Cummings. This is well behind the incident. We'll take a look at it one more time. And, well, he may have had a little bit of help getting into that outside wall.
Yeah, it was just tough positioning for both of them. Of course, DJ Cummings was trying to hold off Robbie Lyons, and by the time they got to turn 3, where the caution to come out because of Brad Perez, pretty much stalled in the middle of the racetrack. Cummings tried to flirt up high, tried to get around the incident, and of course, Robbie Lyons was already there to the quarter panel, which sent DJ Cummings hard into the outside wall. For Cummings, at the moment, he has not used his faster pair, so this could be opportunity for him to take it with the last laps incoming, but ultimately, it will not matter for his contention for position or for the win, frankly. He is 3 laps down on the circuit.
Going to be put behind the 8 ball for sure, and Cummings sitting and continuing to get service. Brandon Brown also on pit road. Lyons put at the tail end of the field for causing that incident. Well, and just like we had at the end of heat number 2, guys, we will go into Monday Night Racing overtime as the lights, I believe this time... No, we'll get another one around. I jumped the gun a little bit there. But this, I think, is where this race can really just blow up. After what we've seen, we had a fair amount of cautions, but a fair amount of decent green flag racing at that. But obviously, this is for all the marbles. This is for a win. This is for a shot in race number 2 to lock your way into the playoffs. I think you're going to see some desperate drivers, whether it's Sora, Cabot, Turner, Carruth, anybody behind them. You're going to see some drivers who are really hungry to make any move they can to try to win this race.
It's going to be desperate because you look at this top 10 even. Nobody in this top 2. Well, Anthony Alfredo's the only guy with a win. He's 29th, not on the racetrack right now, on pit road. So anybody that's on the racetrack can lock themselves into the playoffs tonight with a win. Who's going to be the guy to get it done? The former champ, the reigning champ in the 17. Raja Karuth came oh so close to making the Final Four. At the end of last season, he sits up there as well. Max Kennan, he wants to make the playoffs again. And then you got the new guys in Sora and Turner. This ought to be good.
This will. Green-white checkered attempt number 1. Sora going to go early, as we've been accustomed to see him doing. He'll have a little bit of an advantage as he crosses the stripe. Green flag in the air. Last season's champion just behind him, trying to make up a little bit of ground. They go 2 wide for 3rd behind him, so Cabot may have a clear shot to try to get Sora with 1 more lap if they can get to the white flag.
And that was the best restart possible. If you're the 98 of Presley Sorrell, white flag in the air from the paper clip. They're side by side for 4th on back. Bailey Turner still trying to hold on the inside. Cabot with a shot to strike on the 98, but Sorrell looking to hold on for the last half lap.
Presley Sora into the final set of corners. Does he get a little bit of a bump of a nudge from Adam Cabot? He's not going to be able to do it. And off at turn number 4, Presley Sora is going to win the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. The driver of the number 98, he loves jerky and he loves winning, as Presley Sora gets win number 1 of season 5 and will lock his way into the Monday Night Racing playoffs.
Wasn't he the Road to Glory champ last year?
He was.
He's going to try and win the whole thing this year. I like it. What unbelievable. Running the IROC scheme pretty much here tonight. Coming away with the win. And I think the green-white checker helped his case a little bit. I thought Cabot did a great job on that restart, getting single file. But Presley Sora just had the speed all night long. It was going to be really, really tough for anybody to get by that 98. And sure enough, he loves jerky, and I hope he loves Martinsville hot dogs and Victor Lane, because he's heading there right now.
And guys, for Presley Sora, 3 months on the mark since his title in the Road to Glory series, and only 2 starts into the Monday Night Racing Pro Series career for him. It's victory lane. Unbelievable job for Sora tonight.
I was about to say he joins a list of, I believe he is now the 18th winner in the history of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, as he jumps up and he'll join a long list there with win number 1. And with how Sora ran in Road to Glory last year, win number 2 may not be quite too far away, as we will quickly go through your full field rundown here at Martinsville. It'll be Sora who takes down the win. Adam Cabot brings it home in 2nd. His spotter, Bailey Turner. Solid run for Bailey Turner in 3rd. Raja Karuth, a clean effort here. He'll bring it home in 4th position. Max Kennan rounds out your top 5. David Schildhaus, didn't talk about him a lot tonight, but a solid finish there for the Charlotte Phoenix entry. He brings it home in 6th. Landon Huffman comes up a little bit short tonight. He brings it home in 7th. Nick Olson, another Road to Glory driver, up in your top 10. He finishes in 8th. 9th is Gabe Wood. Will Rogers rounds out your top 10.
Kerry Sexton goes plus 2 from the start of the race to the end. He finishes P11. James Bickford went through a lot and everything here tonight from the Martinsville Speedway. He finishes good enough for P12. George Balfounds Jr. in the 2 ends up 13, not able to quite replicate the top 3 from Daytona 1 week ago. It's Ford Martin, who started 14th. He finishes 14th tonight in the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. Colin Fern started 28th. He was plus 13 to 15th here at the end of this race. Justin Malillo ends up P16, followed by Stephen Ellis in the 46, 17th. Ruben Garcia, who barely knows his way into the LCQ and into this feature itself, he finishes 18th after starting 30th. Devin Henry is unofficially listed as 19th, but just got a penalty from race control for causing an incident on the last lap, so he will be at the tail end of the line. And Preston Pardis, P-Money, Jacob Hitz, rounds out your top 20.
Matt Stolnick finishes in P21. He got bodied there on that last lap and lost a couple of spots. Robbie Lyons finishes in 22nd. Brad Perez in 23rd. He crashed just shy of the start-finish line. Shane Van Gisbergen, the man led the most laps, made a restart violation, caused a restart violation. He finishes 24th. Charlie Brown finishes 25th, the last driver on the lead laps. Not quite, actually. He's the first driver, 1 lap down. Then it's DJ Cummings, Brandon Brown, Brian Boris Cook out of the race alongside Anthony Alfredo and Garrett Smithley. That's your field of 30 for the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. And, oh, by the way, between the 3 of us, which driver happened to finish out in front? David Schildhaus, P6. Close battle, though, 6, 7, and 9. That's pretty impressive for us.
I was about to say, yeah, very competitive. Well, and last, I mean, P9, I mean, I would say there's at least a decent amount of knowledge in this booth. Not great, but, you know, decent. Well, anyways, we were all wrong about not picking this driver. Presley Sora gets it done here tonight and goes to Monday Night Racing Pro Series victory lane for the first time. And Presley, I'll just kind of ask you about this whole night. It seemed like you could just get around this racetrack, the bottom, the top. Everything seemed to work for you. What was it about this combo that you love so much?
Well, I can tell you the exact reason why. Travis Brown, Moonhead, he runs these things every couple weeks, and he ran it last week. And I always run them. So I got to give the biggest thanks in the world to him because, I mean, that's really what prepared me for it. Because if I wouldn't have run those, I wouldn't have known what to do. But, I mean, I probably have more laps here on this track with this combo than almost anybody, except for maybe Landon, David. But that was great. I mean, it was touch and go there for a little while. I know Shane and I were having a good battle, and he crossed me over a few times. Then he got that penalty, and that restart, it was way closer than I was hoping it would be. I thought I'd get a better jump than that, but I was worried he was going to move me in 3, but I held on.
Certainly so. And Presley, talk about, obviously, you come through the Road to Glory ranks. You eventually get to the Pro Series, which is where you wanted to be all along. How does it feel already to get that second race out of the way? You get a win, and now you're locked into the postseason. So how does that feel with coupling with that championship you won in Road to Glory and trying to chase another one here in the Pro Series?
It's great because last week I finished like 38th or something horrible after getting taken out in a couple mid-race wrecks. So I was way down in points. So I really, really needed a good run or a win. I mean, a win really helps because I don't want to have to sit and worry about points for the next 2 months. So now I'm locked in. I can just ride around for fun and try to collect playoff points and more wins and just try to put on a show. I have nothing to lose now, so I can just focus on the playoffs and go from there.
All right, Preston, we'll let you get out there and celebrate it. Congratulations on bringing it home, getting it done tonight in a chaotic race. It was smooth and steady for you out there in that 98. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you. And I want to thank my sponsors, ClubJerky.com, Maconi Setup Shop, and my newest sponsor, 213simware.com. They just released shirts and wall tapestries and pint glass and a steel tumbler customized to my stuff, so you can go in there and find that. And I want to thank Runnings Racing Design, Highside Motorsports, my other team, Crypto Auto Sport, these guys in here, and like I said, Travis again for doing those moon car races because that's really what helped me tonight.
Presley Sora, your winner tonight in Martinsville, and it looks like, yes, we will have Adam Cabot, who has caught up with our very own Kenneth Bueno. He brings it home in second.
Here with the defending champion, Adam Cabot, who comes home P2 tonight from the virtual Martinsville Speedway. Adam, despite the chaos, despite the crashing, despite the contact inevitability of this Martinsville Speedway and this combo tonight, you managed to have one of the cleanest cars in the field and overall one of the cleanest races. This second place finish must feel really good after the finish at the Sunrise 500 just 1 week ago.
Yeah, it really does. Before I forget, shout out to Abernon Vineyards and Lady Abernon for sponsoring me this week, being on the Mazda here. But yeah, I'm kind of torn, honestly, because if you told me before the race, hey, would you take a P2 here? I would absolutely say yes in a heartbeat. But I really thought in that last lap I was in the perfect spot to do a little bump and run on Presley and get by him. But I didn't want to just turn him, so I wasn't going to just drive through him on corner entry. I thought I could kind of maybe gas up in the center and get to him, but he read it perfectly, and I was just talking to him before hopping up into this interview booth here that, you know, it's just like the eSports Racing League all over again. We were finishing first and second each week, so it'll be interesting to see if that continues. We kept kind of swapping it back and forth back then. Maybe that'll kind of we'll push each other to do that again this year. But also shout out to Bailey Turner finishing third. Really good run for him. But yeah, from my perspective, that race was way cleaner. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't behind me. I'm sure there was plenty of chaos behind me. But yeah, I couldn't believe when I looked right, looked left, saw a door mirror on each side. But yeah, from my perspective, that was a pretty calm race. But definitely take the points after finishing 32nd at Daytona, and see if we can make a run at another championship.
And I was about to mention Bailey Turner, who comes on third tonight. He's your spotter, and now you guys get to race each other on the racetrack. So it must have felt a little bit surreal fighting for P2. But, I mean, this combo very different from a lot of others and very different from any other car combo you could put on this Martinsville Speedway. What was it like to try and mount charges, and what was it like to really race in this environment when everybody is so close together and there's practically no margin for error?
Yeah, it was really tough. I mean, the cars are really easy to drive for the most part. I mean, there's really no power to them. Besides from the cold tires, the first couple laps, they're really stable. But because of that, because we're going so slow, we're all just kind of stacked up on top of each other. So it's a really fine line between not wanting to charge the corner too hard and run over the guy in front of you, but also not wanting to hit the brakes too hard and then get run over from the guy behind you. So, I kind of was just in survival mode most of the race. I was in a pretty relatively safe spot. I mean, there was one run where I was kind of stuck on the high side, and I think I burned up my tires a little bit there. But yeah, it's an interesting car track combo because it's like the car is so easy to drive. Everyone's right on top of each other, and you really can't afford to slip up. Otherwise, they'll all just kind of line up and go by you.
Well, it was mostly mistake-free on your behalf, and you end up P2 here from the virtual Martinsville Speedway. Final question before we let you go, Adam, here. The second-place finish, of course, a big rebound from Daytona just 1 week ago. How are you going to look to build up on this second-place finish for the rest of the campaign to ensure that you can make the playoffs and, of course, go for that title defense?
It kind of just builds even more confidence. A lot of time passes and you think, well, a defending champion, you must have all the confidence in the world. And, I am pretty confident, but, actually seeing those results, seeing on the board P2 instead of P32, definitely instills a little bit of extra confidence that I can still go and get this done, especially in car track combos like this where, I don't really race the Mazdas that much, but I don't think much of this field does either. So, yeah, I'll just keep doing what I've been doing and hope it keeps working out for me.
Well, it's a solid finish, no doubt, on the podium for you, Adam. Of course, on behalf of our team here at Podium Esports, I want to give a shout out. Of course, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. I know Cameron Aubadon here, our social media manager, very happy to have the sponsor on the car to finish P2. And of course, we hope to see you 1 week from tonight, where we take the Watkins Glen with the Pro 2 trucks. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope to see you there.
All right, you got it. Thanks, Kenneth.
It's Adam Cabot, defending champion, who comes home P2 tonight from the paperclip. We'll turn it over to P3, and it's spotter for Adam Cabot from last season, now Pro Series driver Bailey Turner, who comes home in P3 and is caught up with Jacob Hitz.
The teammate to Adam Cabot coming home in position number 3. Bailey, is there anything you could have done, caution or no caution there at the very end, to get to the back bumper of Presley Sora and challenge him for the win?
Honestly, not sure about that one. When he put that big block on me in the front stretch, I ended up running into the back of him. in 1 and 2. And I think from there, I think I had a little damage or something. I just didn't have the straightaway speed. And from there, just kind of playing defense on Adam and Raja. But, wishing I would have, looking back, I wish I would have made a couple more moves on Presley. I was just trying to be patient, but those cautions just came out at the wrong time.
Still have to be proud with the fact that, 2 out of the 4 that made it from the Road to Glory series into the Pro Series for MNR from a season ago. Well, here you are up here on the podium in the second race of the season. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's the Road to Glory was a great way for a lot of us iRacers to be able to try to get into the series. And I mean, Presley, the defending champion, he shows his speed every single week. And I finished P2 in that series. You got Nick Olson and just all those other guys that made it through. I mean, they're all pretty talented guys, and I think they should be running up front almost every weekend here. I think they're all talented enough, and I think we kind of showed that tonight. I think we all had the speed, and it was just going to be a track position battle there.
Looking ahead, obviously, next week, a complete 180. We go from the short track here with the Miatas to Watkins Glen with the Pro 2 trucks. Do you have any experience in the Pro 2 trucks? What do you think we'll see next week?
Yeah, I just saw Adam Cabot run that a season or 2 ago, and I got to go a little practice session with him, and those things are pretty wild. It's going to be fun slinging those things around. You're going to be able to move some guys out of the way and kind of set up runs the old-fashioned way. It should be a pretty fun, high-speed race over there.
Well, congratulations on the P3, Bailey, and we'll see you next week from Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and I just want to thank my sponsors real quick. Thank Battle Beaver for coming on board this week. Red Sim Design for all the amazing paint jobs they do, and Peak Performance Motorsports for all they do as well.
Bailey Turner, your third-place finisher tonight, here from Martinsville in the TUFCO Flooring Challenge. Blake.
Thank you very much, Jacob. And, well, that's at least a wrap for Martinsville, guys. I know we came into tonight, and it's a short track. It's a combo where somewhat low speed, so we knew drivers are going to be on top of each other. But we've had a lot of storylines heading into Season 5 of this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. And, well, I think we left with more than what we had coming in, which, again, I don't think is a shock to anybody.
Yeah, definitely. So no shock at all that we're going to end up with more storylines, and it's just going to continue to pile up. We're going to have a huge list of stuff by the end of this season. But, I mean, the biggest point, again, and I'll transfer from the Sunrise 500, don't sleep on these Road to Glory drivers. They've come here to play. They didn't come here to slouch. They didn't come here to just hang in the back and ride around and learn. They've come here just as good as they came off in the Road to Glory season from 1 season ago. And Presley, Sora, Bailey, Turner, hats off to both of them for putting that performance in. George Ballfans from 1 week ago. It's not over. Safe to say for the Pro Series guys, they got to watch out for the Road to Glory talent because they're coming up very, very quickly.
That was certainly made, or at least affirmed tonight, that Road to Glory talent really is something that these drivers or these Monday Night Racing Pro Series regulars are going to have to watch out for. But, Jacob, I know right at the end of your interview you talked about it. Pro 2 lights at Watkins Glen. This is a Monday Night Racing staple, a very, very fun combination. Drivers are sliding all over the racetrack. It's one that all of these drivers ask for every year, which is why it happens. So this is going to be a lot of fun next week when we get to kind of slide off the track and really allow these guys to beat and bang without as much penalty as we saw tonight. But I think next week going to be a real treat with Pro 2 lights at the Glen.
And I don't think some of these guys would mind keeping it cleaner, honestly, and just having a calmer show. Yeah, a little beat and bang and maybe coming to the line. But other than that, lap 4, just take it easy. We got a long way to go. Hey, one note I want to bring up is the fact that out of the guys that were in the Final 4 back at Auto Club, Adam Cabot is the only guy that we've heard from, really, in these first 2 weeks. I mean, David Schoenhaus was in and out. He was there in that first heat, and then we didn't really see him much in the feature. Colin Fern, wrecked. It's just, Adam Cabot was the strong guy tonight, and if I'm anybody else, especially somebody that wants to make the championship 4 at the end of the season, I am scared at the fact that Adam Cabot looks as strong as he does in week number 2. When there are 2 races to go, I'm really curious to see where he's going to be at in points and how well off he could be by the time we get to Homestead and the end of the season.
Well, not only has there been a lot of consistency out of them, but you think about your 2 winners already. Anthony Alfredo, Presley Sora. It's going to be some stiff competition already locked into the Monday Night Racing playoffs. But for all of us here at Podium eSports, for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Joshua Mendoza and Race Control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium eSports, and for our camera builder, Dougie Beard, our overlay builder, Michael Hall, Cameron Aubernon on the social media platforms for Podium tonight, and for tonight's broadcast crew, Ryan Bauer and my colleagues in the broadcast booth, Kenneth Bueno and Jacob Hitz. I am Blake McCandless saying so long tonight from Widgeway, Virginia, where we bid you farewell, and congratulations to tonight's winner, Presley Sora, your winner of the TUFCO Flooring Challenge.